not be enough. And the cost, it's adding up fast. At Alarm Detection Systems, we offer a more innovative solution. Live video monitoring. Cameras provide extra coverage in even the hardest to reach areas. Unlike guards, they never get intimidated. Our operators watch video alerts in real time, cut costs, increase coverage, and stay secure. Call ADS at 1-630-844-6322 or visit adsalarm.com for a free demo. Alarm license number 127000143.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Variable cloudiness for today, a thunderstorm which could bring us some damaging wind. Our high today 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area tomorrow, and the high 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
I mean...
Here we are.
What?
Yeah.
Are you... Okay.
Do you want to go first?
How is this possible?
To tell you,
I mean,
yeah.
and this is Amy Jacobson, Jim Urios here for Dan Prop, yada, yada, yada. Are you kidding me?
So if he would have got 5% of the votes...
Wait, tell them what we're talking about.
Some of them know. You tell them. Yeah.
Zoran.
I don't like to say it.
Mom Bobby beat Cuomo in the Democratic primary for New York mayor.
Yeah.
And Cuomo conceded to Zoran.
Tonight was Assemblyman Mandani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them and moved them and got them to come out and vote. And he really ran a highly impactful campaign. I called him, I congratulated him, I applaud him sincerely for his effort, and let's give him a round of applause.
No, I won't do that. I won't do that.
Thank him for his campaign. Again, I want to applaud the Assemblyman for a really smart and good and impactful campaign. Tonight is his night. He deserved it. He won. And we're going to take a look. We'll make some decisions. But I love each and every one of you, and I thank you for what you've done. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Socialism Cooligan, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could also text us. He tweeted out, in the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. My friends, it is done. And you are the ones who did it. I am honored to be your Democrat nominee for the mayor of New York City.
I agree that it seemed impossible. I'll give him that. Like, what's impossible is that, and Eric Adams kind of hit on it too, he said, you really struck a chord with the young people. And if you want to break that down, what he means is you struck a chord with those who have very little understanding of basic economics, who've never run businesses, who don't understand what price controls do, who don't understand when the government takes over businesses. This is terrible. And I don't believe... You know, New York, in our lifetime, New York was in a bad way in the 70s, almost out of business. And they came back because they adopted some austerity and some pro-business, particularly in finance and real estate. This is a big blow. Us as Chicagoans, because before, by the way, we were the laughingstock. We elected Brandon Johnson. They just ducked under us, so we look great right now. How's that for positive?
Honest to Pete, even the Chicago Tribune's editorial board reached out to New Yorkers saying, please don't do it. Don't do it. Maybe it was Cynthia Nixon. Remember, do you ever watch Sex and the City?
Oh, no, I have not, but I'm aware
you know who
of
she
it.
Is.
Yes.
She was all in for Zoran.
It is election day. I'm on my way to vote. I don't know that I have ever been more excited to vote for anyone than I am to vote for Zoran Mandani. I've got my button. I've got my Don't Rank Cuomo t-shirt that I have been hidden because I'm going to a polling site. Zoran 1, Brad 2, Adrian 3, Stringer 4, Michael Blake 5. And whatever you do, don't rank Cuomo. Vote for Giuliani, vote for Justin Brannan. We have a chance to make sure that our corrupt, sexual harassing, Trump donor-supported, disgraced former governor is not elected mayor of New York. And we have a chance, we're within the polling site now, we have a chance to elect Zoran to have fast free buses, to have rent-stabilized apartments with the rent frozen. We have subsidized grocery stores, and we have free.
How long was this go on? This is torture.
No, that's almost over.
5 years.
I know.
We have a guy who will stand up to Trump, and we will have a guy who creates a city for all of us. Make sure you vote today and don't rank Cuomo.
By the way, Amy, you rolled your eyes when she started talking about Cuomo. I agree with her on the Cuomo stuff. Sure, he looks like a prince and a perfectly qualified candidate compared to the Socialist. But if you just looked at him in a vacuum, some of the things she was saying is true, too. And maybe that's part of the problem, no?
Well, I mean, that whole Me Too Cuomo side boob swipe thing, I'm not...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But he didn't handle COVID-19. You remember COVID-19?
He was going to be the vice presidential candidate.
Yeah.
I hated him on COVID-19.
No
I
doubt
couldn't
about it.
stand him.
Yeah.
But I would rather have him than Zoran.
Sure,
now,
but I just do what Cynthia Nixon tells me to do. On most issues, I will always look for what Cynthia Nixon says. That's her name, right?
I know. And Zoran, I mean, his...
Yeah, here we are.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We still have Eric Adams is running as an independent. So it's going to be Zoran, Eric Adams, and then our good friend, brother in sound, Curtis Sliwa from Guardian Angels.
Yeah.
Also a cat lover. He has 40-something cats in his one-bedroom apartment.
That's disqualifying to me.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I've been texting him this morning like, hey, call us right now, Curtis.
He's going to have to make a case for that if he comes on air.
He's going to, well, no, he goes to shelters, kill shelters and takes cats.
That's the case. Then he may.
Yeah, that's his thing, man. That's his jam.
Yeah.
Bob in Buffalo Grove. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Amy. Good talking to you. Good to hear you again, Jim. Are we surprised? I already checked Dan's Twitter account, and he pointed out we shouldn't be surprised at this because look at all the other mayors. You mentioned one of them, Brandon, and then you out in L.A. you got Karen Bass, and the list goes on with all the crazies that are running for office and getting nominated and sadly in some cases elected. Into the future, I wonder, with regards to the election, you mentioned the nominee, but also Cuomo won as an independent, and then you got Sliwa with splitting of the vote. It'd be a long shot, but could Sliwa possibly win?
I mean, anything's possible, but
I'd rather have Sliwa's cats win than these other guys. That's pretty good for 5:30 in the morning, right? So, okay.
I'd rather have his kid. So this Zoran guy, thanks, Bob, for the phone call.
Okay, have a good day.
All right, you
Thanks,
too.
Bob.
Zoran changes his accent depending on who he's talking to, apparently. He used to be a rapper. Did you see his rap videos?
No, I'm not.
This is very on Andreas
to?
Vasquez-esque, because Andreas Vasquez is one of our aldermen who I'm gonna have my speaks with him one day. But he's a rapper. His mom directed his music videos.
That's sweet.
And here he is confronted by a reporter.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mandani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak.
Okay. I've changed my accent at Italian restaurants a little bit over the years as well.
Oh, you have?
So I will find fault with him doing it so often. But the first time my wife and I ever went to an Italian restaurant, we'd probably been dating about a year. And I always walk in and something comes over me. He's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, you, how you doing? I'm going to go talk to the owner.
Hey, how you doing?
Right. So it's happened before, but not to the extent of that. And I'm not a politician.
But I mean, to think that he wants government-run grocery stores, he wants to freeze the rent. That's what he campaigned on.
So anyone who doesn't understand just basic economic dynamics, it's not a theory. It is a law of economics. When you restrict supply through things like price controls, you make prices go higher, not lower. And that's happened every time rent control has been instituted everywhere. And it happens even when you begin to talk about it because developers stop developing because they're like, oh, crap, we don't know what's going to... Can I say that word?
Yeah. No,
we don't know what's going to be happening in this area, too. There's other better opportunities for us elsewhere. So they start moving away, restricting supply, even when it's begun to be talked about. By the time it's actually instituted, which I God forbid that it actually happens and it passes, which probably will if the mayor wants it, that prices will begin to go higher because you strangle supply. It is a basic economic law. And there's actually one little level between, we want lower prices or freeze rents, and rents are higher. And they all know this. The thing that bothers me is that these politicians who institute these policies know it. Sorry.
Do you think that this kid knows this?
I don't know. He's 33 years old, right?
Yeah.
And he's been, I do. I think it's more nefarious. That old saying, never attribute to malice what can be explained with incompetence, or I might got that quote wrong. But I don't believe that all the time. I believe it's just make your own truth day. Like, we're gonna lower prices. Well, how are you gonna do that? And then they say something that sounds good. We talked about it yesterday. Thomas Sowell said, I'm sorry about this topic. It's just this grinds my gears like nothing else.
Talk about it.
Thomas Sowell says the politics over the last 50 years can be described as things that work being replaced by things that sound good. Like, who doesn't want lower rents? We all want lower rents, right? Except the guy renting the place out. But anyway, that's my spiel for 5:30.
Real quick, George in Naperville. Hi, George.
Yes, good morning. I also do an Italian accent when I'm in an Italian restaurant.
Thank you, George.
You do? What do you do?
That's a spicy meatball.
No, you don't.
That is so bad. But thank you for calling.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I always say, don't bust my onions. All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, did we or did we not destroy Iran's nuclear sites? That's up for debate, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Nikki Whaley.
Good morning, 72 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in for Nikki Whaley in the Starbucks newsroom. Heavy rain overnight, light showers now giving us a much cooler day, only a high of 74. Political upset in the primary race for New York City Mayor. 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee, beating former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who conceded the race. Mamdani faces current Mayor Eric Adams later this year. Police investigating why a 2-month-old boy was found dead at a Southwest Side home on Tuesday. The infant discovered at an apartment in the Brighton Park neighborhood's 4100 block of South Maplewood Avenue. A witness at the scene told officers they found the boy unresponsive. He was pronounced dead shortly after. The investigation continues. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker will announce this week that he's running for a third term. A person familiar with the governor's plans confirmed that on Tuesday, the announcement coming on Thursday. There's been speculation in recent months he might run for president in the future. This report sponsored by Starbucks. The Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is back. Notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry-flavored pearls. Make it yours. Try it with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time. Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. A check of your forecast coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk sees a big decision for the president.
Israel has done a lot of work in Iran. They have bombed a lot of targets, but there are some nuclear facilities hidden within a mountain. It is within a deep, deep bunker. President Donald Trump has to make a very important decision. Does the United States get involved kinetically against Iran?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Does your garage floor look bad, cracked, or stained from Chicago's brutal winters? Contact my good friends at Level 10 Coatings. Level 10 brought my garage floor from dirty, gross, to showroom shiny new in just one day. Level 10 Coatings can do the same for you. A quick and easy fix, gleaming permanent solution. Guaranteed to never crack or chip. Mention me, Amy, for $500 off. Get it done now so you can enjoy your garage all summer long. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is superior to epoxy. One day and they're gone. They'll even help move your stuff out of your garage. Schedule your free quote today and mention Amy to receive $500 off. Just visit level10coatings.com. Level10coatings.com or call 855-510-2628. Again, that's 855-510-2628. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-developers of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Virago was formulated to boost your immune system to fight off the viruses that you encounter every day. I made Virago into a liquid formula to improve the absorption and to provide a rapid response for your immune system. Taking Virago every day helps your immune system fight off all types of daily assaults. Go to myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com and receive 30% off using promo code IMMUNE. And remember, Maha starts with Virago.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirogo.com.
And use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at progressive.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, variable cloudiness, a thunderstorm which could bring some damaging wind. The high today at 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in spots for tomorrow. High tomorrow afternoon, 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Sorry about that. I was just, trying to process that a complete socialist, Marxist, has won the Democratic primary in New York City. And we're trying to get Curtis Lewa on the line, by the way. So we're always here for you. Want you to join the conversation. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. We're going to move on to President Trump. What to do now and who is telling the truth? Do you believe the president or do you believe CNN that the nuclear sites were not destroyed in Iran?
We have major breaking news into CNN. 3 sources tell CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back a few months.
That's right. So this is an assessment that actually is out from the Defense Intelligence Agency. That is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it was based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. CENTCOM after the strikes, according to one of the sources. Let's go to CNN national security correspondent Natasha Bertrand, who has this exclusive new reporting. This is to that question that has been asked about how much damage has been done. This is a real question. It's also a political question that has been to something that Donald Trump has been sort of dealing with here recently. What are you learning, Natasha?
Yeah, look, Brianna, this is the first assessment that we are getting that the U.S. intelligence community has found about the battle damage that resulted from those U.S. military strikes on these 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. And as you said, it was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it is worth noting that it is a very early assessment. The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence. They are still working to come up with a full, comprehensive picture of what exactly happened here. But based on a battle damage assessment that was carried out by U.S. Central Command, essentially looking at the images and looking at what was actually damaged, the Defense Intelligence Agency has assessed that the core components of Iran's nuclear program are largely intact, and that Iran's nuclear program has essentially only been set back by months. Now, we presented this information to the White House for comment, and White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt, she did acknowledge the existence of this assessment, but she said in a statement that the administration disagrees with it. She said, quote, "This alleged assessment is flat out wrong and was classified as top secret, but was still leaked to CNN by an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community. The leaking of this alleged assessment is a clear attempt to demean President Trump and discredit the brave fighter pilots who conducted a perfectly executed mission to obliterate Iran's nuclear program. Everyone knows what happens when you drop 14 30,000-pound bombs perfectly on their targets. Total obliteration."
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Do you believe CNN or do you believe Pete Hegseth, Carolyn Leavitt? I mean, normally Carolyn Leavitt, she released a statement, but she didn't go on camera.
Interesting.
Which is, that makes me think,
propaganda.
maybe CNN is...
Military propaganda has been a thing for, thousands of years, obviously. So do I believe Trump and Pete Hegseth? No. The question is, who do you believe more? And by the way, the CNN thing, I think it is just absolutely amazing that in 2 weeks' time, they go from shouldn't be bombing Iran, they're nowhere near having nuclear capabilities, to, but you only put them back a couple months. If you put those two things together, they do not make sense. And nobody on their side, whatever the side is, seems to care that the things they say come in complete conflict with each other on a daily basis. It's amazing. But what happened? We don't know.
So Pete Hegseth came out with a statement. I mean, these are camera people. These are people who do not shy away, who want to promote the brand, promote themselves, promote their good works. He came out and said, based on everything we have seen, and I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons. Our massive bombs hit exactly the right spot at each target and worked perfectly. The impact of those bombs is buried under a mountain of rubble in Iran. So anyone who says the bombs were not devastating is just trying to undermine the president and the successful mission. Is that what they're doing? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. President Trump, he's at The Hague. And by the way, did you see him next to the king?
No, I didn't. Tell me.
And queen?
No.
Well, I'm just saying he's, you think he's tall.
He is tall.
The king of the Netherlands, he's tall too.
Really?
Oh yeah, he towers over Trump.
You know how I feel about tall people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a short people comment to make?
No, I'm fine.
Here's President Trump.
I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. They basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. You understand that?
Yeah, that's not the soundbite we were looking for, but that was Trump yesterday. Here he is talking about the nuclear sites. My bad, not Justin's fault, my fault.
We hear it was obliteration. It was a virtual obliteration. When you take a look at the ground above, don't forget the flame is all underground. But everything above, if you look at the before and the after picture, everything above is burned black. The trees, everything. There's one building, but that's a building that sunk substantially into the granite. So that, the fire goes right over it. I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks, maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material. Very hard and very dangerous for them to remove it. Plus, they knew we were coming. And if they know we're coming, they're not going to be down there. There aren't too many people that are going to be down there. Pete, do you have something to say about that?
Well, Mr. President, when you talk to the people who built the bombs, understand what those bombs can do, and deliver those bombs, they landed precisely where they were supposed to. It was a flawless mission.
Flawless.
Right down where we knew they needed to enter. And given the 30,000 pounds of explosives and capability of those munitions, it was devastation underneath Fordo. And the amount of munitions, 6 per location, any assessment that tells you it was something otherwise is speculating with other motives. And we know that because when you actually look at the report, by the way, it was a top secret report, it was preliminary, it was low confidence. All right, so this isn't, you make assessments based on what you know.
And it said it could be very devastating, very serious.
Moderate to severe, and we believe far more likely severe and obliterated. So this is a political motive here.
CBS News also reporting this morning that just the doorways to the nuclear facility that were obliterated, but that the goods are still underneath there.
And how do they get this info?
I don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
this
don't
whole
know
like
either. Because that's the whole point.
Information.
Yes,
three
exactly.
sources.
Yeah.
And this is CNN who denied Hunter Biden's laptop, who pushed the Russian collusion, who pushed the Steele dossier.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And they can't enjoy a victory from Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, too, he was nominated for a Nobel Peace
Was he
Prize.
really? Oh,
yeah.
this is going to
Just
be
so you
fun.
know.
Yeah.
I think it was you, right? you're shucking oysters over there on your computer doing
Exactly.
something yesterday.
I did. I got it taken care of.
You did.
Yes.
So good for Trump. 312-642-5600. Let's go to Willie on the south side. Hi, Willie.
Hello. I'm going with President Trump. If he told me today was Sunday, I would believe him.
But you get my point, Willie, though, right? I mean, again, I'm going with President Trump, too. I'm just not, like when they say 30,000-pound bombs, and we're all be like, ooh, I don't know what that even means. Like, what does it mean, a 30,000-pound bomb? How much are normal bombs?
It's very heavy.
Yeah, but what does a normal bomb weigh? But, Willie, I agree with you. I just want to argue about it a little bit.
Thanks, Willie, for the phone call. Excuse me. Hold on. There you go. Thanks, Willie. Let's go to Robert in Bloomingdale. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. You know what? Nobody really knows. The IAEA is going to go in there, and if Iran lets them, because they're a signatory to the NPT, and all their nuclear program was monitored. And right now, who knows if it'll be monitored? It could have been blown up completely. It could have not been. But you know what? That 30,000-pound bomb, the way it's made, there's only 5,000 pounds of explosives in it. The rest of it's, whatever the heck. The penetrators, the hardening, so it'll go deep in. Who knows? I don't know. But if nobody goes in there, and where's the 800 kilograms of 60% uranium, enriched uranium? They got to figure all this out.
I know. We have to find out where the highly enriched uranium is.
We don't know anything.
Well, we do know that
anything.
Right after the bombings, thanks so much, Robert, for your phone call. Right after the bombings, Iran withdrew from the UN International Atomic Energy Agency, which is IAEA, and the action completely removes any further surveillance, inspections, and reports. In other words, Iran could just turn off the UN's eyes and say,
but also they could
you
be
can't
back
come
in
here.
it next week, too. This
But also-
situation
yeah.
is fluid, as we say.
And there's satellite imagery that shows it looks like it's obliterated.
Okay, then I'm going with it.
But
I just want a critical eye on all this stuff.
Okay.
That's fair, right?
To Marvin in Burlington, Wisconsin. Good morning, Marvin. How are you?
I'm fine this morning. You all are sounding good.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I think this mayoral race is a direct correlation. I mean, young people, people my age, you can't believe anything from anybody. And so you get Democrats saying that this guy's a socialist and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But you can't believe the news media. You can't believe the Pentagon about anything. I mean, yeah, we have a new administration and there's a lot of the department heads that have changed, but the same old people are still working there. Same thing at the FBI. They haven't turned out say we're going to fire everybody and hire new agents. That's the same bunch. And so this is why you get people who don't believe what they're being taught in school. I mean, even if they are being
That's a good thing, isn't it? We should have never been trusting these institutions for the last 50 years, and we did.
I haven't trusted him my whole entire life.
Amen, Mark.
Oh, good for you.
I tell you what. My grandfather.
Yeah.
This is old people's story. But after the banks went bad in '29, he never put another dollar in a bank the rest of his life.
Wow.
Same thing is going on today. You can't trust anybody. The only thing you can do in your life is trust yourself and have a backup plan. And
I'm writing that on a bumper sticker, my friend. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust yourself and have a backup plan.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm with you.
I mean, who do you trust? I mean, COVID, everything. All the emperor's clothes have been removed now. And if you don't have the sense or the logic to figure this out, that a lot of this is just none of it's true, then you're as John Cass likes to say in his commercial, or you're a fool sitting at a stool, because it's all right there in front of you, and you just have to open your eyes and understand it.
So, Amy, I have a question for you, though. So now AI, because like journalism, I was just heard about a journalism conference where the keynote speaker was an AI figure who came up on a screen and did a great job. But here's my theory, is that is now that we know we look at this stuff and can't really trust providence, is it possible that because I have been talking about mistrust. We should teach these kids mistrust from the time they're young, and we teach them the opposite. But is it
Or
AI,
just give them options like this person thinks this way, this philosopher
talking
has
about motivation.
this opinion.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but will AI then make them trust the institutions less, because they don't know if what they're even seeing is real anymore, and make for a more critical thinking society in the end? Am I being too rosy?
Well, I'll tell you what my opinion is. I trusted less, because it takes a person to put whatever AI is presenting into the machine.
Yeah, and who's that person? Right.
Yeah, but then there's reports if you try and turn off AI, he makes disparaging comments about your wife and your relationship. Like, what?
Well,
you can't kill me.
Well, it's like these people. Oh my God, it's AI. We're all going to die. They're going to take over the world. Well, you cut the power
saw the movie.
off. You cut the power off, for crying out loud. I mean,
well, you think it's that easy, but once I'm telling you, I'm so fearful of AI. But then again, I thought the internet might be going away. Yeah. And I thought QR codes were going to go away.
I was hoping they would.
After COVID. I swear to God, if I see a QR code, my head spins.
Run away.
But that's all right, Marvin. Thank you. You've let us get off topic a little bit.
Aren't we supposed to a little bit, though? It's supposed to meander a ton.
Oh, trust me. I'm in charge. We're meandering. Lewis in Brenham, Texas. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing? Being in Iraq, we used a couple of these smaller bunker busters in the beginning of the war. Not much, but we used them a lot more in Afghanistan.
Okay. All right. Well,
instruction on some of these smaller ones?
Yeah.
Total devastation, and that was just one bunker buster hitting a mountain and devastating it, cave-ins, and just completely unable to access it. So imagine having 6 huge bunker busters penetrating into into this facility. I doubt that anything that they're saying is real. I think that it may not be a complete devastation of it, but I guarantee you that facility is inoperable.
All right. I mean, this is, the headlines here. U.S. airstrikes only set Iran back months.
Look, the same people who said they weren't even having nuclear capabilities. They weren't even close.
Right.
Yeah, those same people. So let's just take that with less than a grain of salt.
And Lewis, thank you for your service too. Appreciate it. And thank you. I love our listeners.
Yeah, me too.
They're so smart
They're very
and
good. Yeah.
worldly and have served this country and know about bunker busting bombs. The
school marm's not going to call in today, is she?
Oh, Dawn? She's not on the line yet. Okay. But I'll let you know.
I want to be, talk down to
Rich in Indian Head Park. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Amy. Good morning, Amy. Morning. Is it Jim?
It's Jim, yeah.
Yeah, it's Jim.
Yeah, good morning. What I wanted to say is, how does CNN and MSNBC and all these media groups, how do they know what the devastation of these bombs were? I mean, do they have experts that were there looking at these films and saying, oh, by looking at these films, we know that they only set them back 2 months or whatever? I mean, I just don't understand how they can make statements like this without actually knowing. You know, it's the job of the media to tell the people when something actually is true. And if the government is saying what they did and set them back quite a bit, who are we not to believe the government and to believe CNN and MSNBC and NBC? I don't understand it.
I know. I don't know.
Who are their experts?
Who
are the experts that they have that know more than the government? And if they do have experts that know more than the government, why aren't they working for the government?
Well, CNN's okay. Thanks, Rich. Appreciate your call. CNN cited 3 sources, not 1, not 2. In Journalism 101, they always say you have to have 2 sources. Oh, but they had 3.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Again, but to Rich's point,
smear campaign.
Is that we're not, I mean, we're supposed to look at everything critically, I think, and both sides have motivation to lie is not the right word, but to exaggerate, let's just say. So, I mean, do I believe the government more than CNN and CNBC or and MSNBC here? Of course I do in this instant, because it's an easy one. Yeah.
I know, but they cannot grow up. You know what I mean? Like, they cannot accept if Trump does something, President Trump does something successful.
Yeah.
And he did. He had, I mean, it was such a strategic, brilliant plan that was executed perfectly. No Americans died. When they retaliated, no Americans died. So he's got our best interests at heart. He's putting America first.
And I can back that up. Like I say, and I know people are getting irritated with it yesterday, going to the futures markets to say how every story is interpreted. But the futures markets has agreed with you the entire time. There's been no huge flight to safety. Gold was actually lower. Risk assets like stocks are higher, knocking on the door of all-time highs. So the market is definitely saying you are correct on this. So that's a good thing, right?
Oh, that's great. Ed on the north side. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Yeah, hi, Amy. I just want to talk about that alleged earthquake they had right before Trump on those nuclear sites. The minute I heard that, I didn't believe it. The coincidence of having an earthquake right before a bombing is like 1 in a billion. I actually believe they had a nuclear explosion down there, and it's like an underground explosion. You wouldn't get too much in the atmosphere, and that's what I think happened. And if that's true, that probably blew up all that enriched uranium with it.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate it. I got a text message from somebody in the military who will remain nameless. Amy and Jim, the truth is in the middle. Iran had ample time to move key equipment and material. Without an on-the-ground assessment, all we can say is that the facility was damaged. But without confirmation, we have to assume the capability is still there. We cannot afford to allow our biases to cloud our reason. Thank you.
He said it just way better than I did. So let's get him on there.
Greg in Jefferson Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Greg.
Hey, good morning, Amy. Hi, Jim. Hey, one of the things that, Jim, you mentioned, you were talking earlier about, artificial intelligence and people's ability to deal with it one way or the other. And I would agree with you that the trust in that is way, way less. But, you mentioned about when people do their own critical thinking. I'm concerned about that with the school system that we've got in this country and the brainwashing
Then
that's
stick
going
around.
on.
We have Kevin Roberts coming on the show to talk about just those topics. But anyway, yeah.
Kids' ability to critically think. They can't. They don't, they get no philosophy. They get no government for crying out loud these days. But it's scary, but I agree with you. Believe no one and trust in yourself.
Family and your best friends, your circle.
And everybody get a dog.
You guys have a good
dog,
one.
for God's sakes. Yeah.
The AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Sign up for
the best in construction and industrial equipment. Look no further than Chicago's most trusted name for 76 years. O'Leary's. From Bobcat to Bosch, Milwaukee to Steel, O'Leary's carries all the top brands and a huge inventory. From skid loaders and excavators, power tools, generators to welders, O'Leary's has the equipment contractors count on, all under one roof. Located on 6 sprawling acres in the heart of Chicago, O'Leary's boasts a massive showroom and full-service shop, better equipped than any competitor in the city. All backed by an experienced team who are committed to meeting your needs. Plus, a modern delivery fleet driven by pros. With O'Leary's, you'll get the gear you need, on time, in perfect condition, and with service that actually knows your name. Visit O'Leary'sEquipment.com. Call 773-252-6600 or stop by just off 290, exit 24AB on Cicero Avenue. O'Leary's, where experience meets equipment and equipment meets satisfied customers.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, the doomed DNC. We'll explain. Today it's going to be cloudy, humid, a thunderstorm likely, a high of 83 degrees at 6 a.m. WIND Chicago.
President Trump keeps insisting it was obliteration. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, pushing back on reports of Pentagon analysis into the U.S. airstrikes over the weekend that Iran's nuclear facilities did limited damage to the program feared to be making weapons.
Well, the intelligence was very inconclusive. The intelligence says we don't know. It could have been very severe.
The president said that at the NATO summit in the Netherlands, where Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports.
The FBI is doing a leak investigation, and he really pushed back on that preliminary low-confidence intel assessment that doubted the impact of the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. He said, without maligning his own intelligence officials, that leaked document did not paint an accurate picture. And moreover, he thinks the Iranians did not get much uranium out of there. The president also said 2 Iranians went down to see it, called back and said this place is gone.
Referencing the Fordo site that was hit. Now, as the Iran-Israel ceasefire holds, Iran executed 3 more people accused of spying for Israel.
We're told one person was assassinated as a result of their collaboration with Israel's security agency Mossad. Since Israel began its assault just under 2 weeks ago, Iran has hanged 6 people for espionage, and human rights groups fear more executions.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. The war in Gaza keeps raging. 7 Israeli soldiers have been killed in an explosion, and Palestinians say Israeli attacks killed at least 44 people. Back to that NATO summit in the Netherlands, President Trump's happy other leaders in the 32-nation alliance plan to agree to spend a lot more on the country's own national defense.
They're going up to 5%, and that's a big, from 2%. And a lot of people didn't even pay the 2%.
In New York City, a Muslim socialist might be the next mayor. Zoran Mandani.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford.
Mandani declared victory in the Democratic primary, while former Governor Andrew Cuomo conceded, though with ranked choice voting, the final results won't be until next month. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 71 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. Some welcome showers and storms overnight, leaving us in the 70s for much of the day. A fatal crash has all northbound lanes closed on the northbound tri-state early this morning between Dempster and Willow Road. A car and box truck colliding, leaving a fiery mess. Again, that's northbound lanes of the tri-state closed between Dempster and Willow as of this hour. And in some places, still some high standing water from overnight rain. We'll catch an update in your traffic report coming up. Chicago police looking into the death of a 2-month-old boy. That infant found dead at a Southwest Side home on Tuesday. He was discovered in an apartment in the 4100 block of South Maplewood Avenue. A witness at the scene told arriving officers they found the boy unresponsive. He was pronounced dead shortly after. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the boy as Emilio Villarreal. No other details were available. The first Illinois human case of West Nile this summer has been confirmed, the CDC confirming that person in southern Illinois hospitalized due to complications from the West Nile virus. This marks the earliest a West Nile case has been confirmed in Illinois since 2016. It's also less than a week after the Illinois Department of Public Health announcing it had found West Nile in 17 counties, including Cook. State health officials sounded the alarm Tuesday night, reminding people to protect themselves. The city of Hinsdale, like many suburbs, cracking down on e-bikes and scooters, especially for kids kids, citing public safety concerns. An ordinance now prohibits children from riding e-scooters there. For many e-bikes, there are no age requirements, but a state law says they need to have an output under 750 watts. Those unlawfully riding the devices in the Hinsdale area not only face a fine, but just one conviction can prevent a preteen's ability to get a driver's license. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the traffic coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy uninterrupted programming from Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson around the clock, all day, every day, including daily replays of Chicago's Morning Answer on Dan and Amy 24/7. Listen now at danandamy247.com.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
This is an urgent warning. The recent U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities have pushed us to the brink of a full-blown geopolitical crisis. Retaliation from Iran, or its allies, is not just possible, it's expected. And that could trigger a chain reaction across the global economy. This is no longer just politics. This is a national security threat, and your retirement could be caught in the crossfire. Every American with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account must act now. Protect your wealth with physical gold and silver today. We are Advantage Gold, the #1 rated precious metals company in America. We've helped thousands secure their wealth, and we can help you too. Call 800-900-8000 right now and request your free gold investment guide. You'll learn how to own physical gold and silver inside your retirement account tax-free and penalty-free. Don't wait. This threat is real. Call 800-900-8000 or visit AdvantageGold.com before the markets spiral out of control. That's 800-900-8000. Past performance may vary. Consult your financial or tax advisor. Call 800-900-8000.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
This is Ed Morrisy of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Donald Trump heralded a ceasefire between Israel and Iran on Monday evening and then spent the next several hours keeping it in place. Trump exploded in frustration Tuesday over the retaliatory exchanges that continued past the deadline, declaring that neither country knows what they're doing. By later in the morning, both countries appeared resolved to stop any more attacks. However, Israel remains rightly concerned that the regime in Tehran will not stop its 46-year campaign of genocide against Jews and annihilation of the Jewish state. Already, the Iranians are declaring their intent to reconstitute their nuclear weapons program. The only real path to peace is through regime change. Neither the U.S. nor the Israelis can force a regime out of power, but we can support the Iranian people and encourage them to lift themselves from the tyranny that has subjugated them since 1979. All of our policies toward Iran should focus on the freedom and liberty for a great people and the end of a regime that only wants to watch the world burn. I'm Ed Morrisy.
Already some pretty lengthy delays on the Kennedy this morning, especially outbound. You're looking at a 25-minute drive from the Burns Circle interchange to Montrose. Tack on another 15 minutes from there to O'Hare. It'll be a pretty significant slowdown right now between Fullerton and Irving Park, but it doesn't look like any crashes there. Inbound doesn't look terrible. A 25-minute drive from O'Hare to the Circle interchange, with 15 of those coming when you start at Montrose. Doesn't look terrible on the Edens this morning. The inbound Eisenhower looks okay. Outbound, you're a little bit slow with a crash outbound at Ashland that has the right lane blocked. It's a 20-minute drive from the post office to Wolf this morning. Inbound Stevenson looks okay. It's a 29 to 30-minute drive from 355 into Lakeshore. Doesn't look too bad on the outbound side right now, with just minimal delays as you move outbound. Traffic is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Bring your gold or silver in store today. Each item is priced right in front of you. The coins never leave your sight. Receive cash or a check right on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. From the T. Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Today, variable cloudiness, a thunderstorm which could bring some damaging wind. The high today at 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in spots for tomorrow. High tomorrow afternoon, 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good Wednesday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Jim Urio is sitting in for Dan Proft.
Was I supposed to say something when you said my name and then pause? Was it dramatic?
It's a dramatic pause. This is how we roll here at AM 560, The Answer. He's here while Dan is off. I think he's in Scotland still, golfing. Did you see the pictures on his Twitter?
No. Were they cool?
I'm sorry, his ex.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
I'll go today.
Do you golf?
I golf at the range. I don't.
Oh, that's right. We went over
we
this.
went through this. I don't. 5
That's not
hours.
golfing,
I can't
Jim.
do anything for 5 hours.
That's not golfing, Jim.
No.
I mean,
I know. So
playing
no
putt-putt-
is the answer.
Putt golf and going to the range are pretty much.
I'm going to
the
play
same
9
thing.
holes this week, I think.
Oh, you are?
I think so. It'll be the
All right.
first time in since last year.
Where do you play?
Well, we have 5 golf courses around my home. We have Palatine Hills, McRae,
Oh,
Highland
yeah.
Woods, Inverness, and one other I can't think of.
McRae's good. McRae's hard.
Yeah.
We just played that, and I don't know. I don't want to see that course ever again.
Yeah.
After the way that I played.
Right, I probably just triangulated the location of my house. Right. Yeah, just you tech people out there, don't you?
And then you can go to Brant's when you're done with your round.
That's where you should go, right?
I think 9 is not enough. 18 is way too much. I want a
Amen.
12-hole golf course.
Amen.
And you know what I'm going to go? I'm going to go a step further. Women only. Men, you all can sniff around on Wednesdays at noon. How does that sound?
Great. Turnabout is fair play.
All right. Well, in case you're just waking up, big news. We're laughing about it.
Yeah, I know.
Zoran.
No, Kevin's going to make it all better.
No, Zoran Mandani. Gosh, I just butchered it. I'm the name assassinator, by the way. He has beat former Governor Andrew Cuomo for the Democratic nomination for the mayor of New York City.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford.
What?
A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage. It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to send your kid to school. Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized. Where buses are fast and free.
Oh, fast and free.
Good luck.
Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY.
And who?
I don't know what that means.
And where public safety
CUNY,
keeps us
city,
truly
college,
safe.
Thank you for the
And
translation.
it's where the
I may
mayor
have got that wrong, but I'm
will
close.
use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
There you go.
They never pointed out, though. They never
Bash
say.
Trump.
To stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors.
Oh, there we go.
And to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party. A party where we fight for working people with no apology.
There we go.
Freeze the rent, free childcare, fast and free buses.
Free stuff.
Free stuff. Everything's free. It was so bad, and I cannot say this enough, that the Chicago Tribune editorial board members wrote an op-ed begging New Yorkers and sent it straight to New York saying, we have this here in Brandon Johnson.
Mistake. Yeah.
Don't repeat our mistake.
Here we are.
With more on this and other topics, Kevin Roberts, pleased to have him here. He's president of the Heritage Foundation and author of Dawn's Early Light, Taking Back Washington to Save America. Good morning, Mr. Roberts. How are you?
Good morning, Amy. I'm doing great, other than having to listen to that diatribe.
Yeah, why did she do that to us, Kevin?
Well, because
that was too long, Amy. That was cruel. Yeah.
36 seconds too long of your life. All right, so are any surprises there with the primary yesterday in New York City?
Unfortunately, no. I was in New York a couple of weeks ago on Heritage Business, and some conservative friends told me, this knucklehead's going to win the Democrat primary and therefore have the inside track to be New York's next mayor. And so it's a bad news, good news thing. The bad news is very obvious. Just listen to that statement, right? It's all bad. And he is going to take New York City the direction of places like London and Paris, which should not be emulated. The good news is, for those of us who are conservatives, is that just when you think the left might be coming to their senses and moderating and moving toward the center, they are on the brink of electing someone like this to be mayor of New York City. And what that's going to do is show the majority of Americans outside New York that, in fact, the left is not a political option. And I think this will contribute in some to the conservatives having a long-term governing majority in Washington and other places. So that's the little bit of optimism I can inject this morning.
So this, by the way, your book, By the Dawn's Early Light, I picked that up. I just wanted to know what you were thinking for the next time you and I were talking together, because I wanted to know what was in your head. I did not expect, it to grab me like it did, because you talk about all the awful stuff that's going on, particularly the decay of our institutions, but you also talk about the hope and the light at the end of the tunnel. And I appreciate that very much, but this is obviously a hard day for that, but you just did a good job of that. But let's talk quickly about, because I think what's really related here are the schools, what's been happening over the last decades, teaching kids that socialism isn't the cruel and awful and evil system that it actually is. What is the solution to this? How do we get schools to just move away from that collectivism and stop turning out kids who think that this is a reasonable outcome?
Well, two things. First of all, Jim, you really did put your finger on it. This is really all about education, or what I should say is miseducation. And it's going to take a lot of different efforts, starting with devolving power of the U.S. Department of Education back to the states and local communities, so that more parents and local communities have the opportunity to reform the curriculum that is being implemented by the federal standards. And if we can do that, then over the next decade or so, you're going to see more schools not teaching socialism, but actually teaching real economics. The second point that I'll make, though, and you know this from reading the book, is I focus on what I call cost disease socialism. When you listen to what Mandani said in his victory speech, there are parts of that actually that are fair characterizations of what's going on, which is that it's hard to afford daily life in a place like New York. But it's not because we have implemented free market economics, it's the exact opposite. That we say it's expensive to live, so let's regulate more. It's expensive for rent, so let's, quote unquote, stabilize rent more. It actually makes it worse. And that's the precise thing that we have to connect the dots for our American school children.
So what's the core message or idea that you hope readers take away from your book?
Two things. Number one, it is totally acceptable to acknowledge that things are very challenging right now, economically, socially, culturally. But secondly, and keep in mind, I wrote this book before the election of President Trump last year, although I was convinced he was going to win. There is real hope. There are legitimate reasons for hopefulness, not just because of the presidential election, not just because of what we see in terms of successes of this administration, but upstream of politics, there are green shoots all over this country, from Chicago to New York to where I am in Virginia to the Deep South to the far West Coast, where Americans are saying, we want to wake up in a normal country. And if all we focus on, rather than on ideological labels and party affiliation, is a return to being normal and to common sense, as President Trump has been saying. And to add one more point to this, if we realize that this is going to take 15 or 20 years, as Vice President Vance has said, then I think that we can wake up each day in spite of news like this knucklehead winning the Democrat primary in New York and understand we are going to revitalize the American dream in our lifetimes.
So, Kevin, you and I have spoke before, and we agree on 98% of everything, and even the 2%.
I want to hear about the 2%.
No. We actually, I bet political things like mass deportation. I'm not 100% sold on that. I know there's people listening right now who are all upset by that. I just think it's an easy thing to say, but it's a bad optic for the other side to give. And I don't even know where Kevin is on that, but I assumed we disagreed. But I that's not exactly what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about what does even conservative mean? Like, over the last 10 years, I actually thought I was socially, center left. I don't care about gay marriage. I don't care about those things. I actually, as a libertarian, I'll fight for your right to do those things. I just don't want to have to celebrate them. And now I say to people, what is it that makes me a right-wing lunatic? And they can't answer. What does even conservative and liberalism mean right now?
Well, it's a great question. I'm a conservative. I love the term. I know that it's falling out of fashion, but the reason it's falling out of fashion is because we have too few conservatives, to your point, Jim, who are willing to articulate a positive vision of what it is. And what conservatism is now is what it's always been, which is a focus on institutions, starting with the most important, the family, continuing with institutions locally that grow out of the family, our churches, our professional associations, whatever our professions may be. And this leads to healthier institutions like local schools, like universities and colleges. And so while President Trump is not someone who uses the term conservative, he uses the term America First, which is perfectly fine. What he's saying is, in so many words, the political project, as it were, for conservatives is to focus on institutional renewal. The radical left over the last century has run roughshod over our institutions. Apolitical parents saw this during COVID when they were walking by the Zoom classes of their private or public schools. And what it did was awaken people to the reality that over-centralizing power in Washington or in state capitals has led to the erosion of self-governance. And ultimately what conservatives stand for is trusting Americans to govern themselves. Most of them are going to get it right. A few of them won't. That's the nature of having a flawed human nature, but conservatives trust that ultimately decentralizing that power is something that's better off. It causes everyone to be better off.
So something that Kevin's not saying the word, but I think what you mean is it should be competition. That's why states' autonomy was such an important thing. We want the states competing against each other for the best outcomes. And keep in mind, I'm saying that with my feet planted in Illinois, a state that will be the clear loser if we are more in a competitive environment with our neighboring states. But that's what you mean, right? Bring it down to a smaller level, let them compete, let the losers, go back and be recycled.
Yeah, you're so right. It's about revitalizing federalism. And the best example of that right now is what we're doing with education reform. Eliminating the U.S. Department of Education, which sounds kind of shocking and radical for some Americans, isn't about harming education. It's actually returning power of education to those elected officials closest to parents and families. And what it will do is, in places like Illinois and California and New York, give them the power to continue to do really dumb things. But conversely, it's going to empower other states that will make really good decisions that will make it, therefore, that much harder for the diminishing number of states who do stupid things like Illinois.
Now we're speaking with Dr. Kevin Roberts. He is president of the Heritage Foundation, one of the great think tanks in America. And I recently saw or read about an interview with you and Mark Levin. Has Heritage started planning Project 2029? That's the buzzword. They make the left's head explode.
Yeah, I know. This is what we exist to do. We've done what we call Mandate for Leadership since 1980. We work on that every day. And obviously, last year, for whatever reason, I guess because we were so organized and good at what we were doing, the left got concerned about it. But yeah, we're always working on how we restore self-governance to the American people by making Washington less important.
I love that. There's one last thing. In Heritage Foundation, since actually my whole obsession with the Heritage Foundation was when you were on the stage at Davos a couple of years ago, and you were the only guy who actually laid it on the line and spoke like you were real and not trying to make people happy. But I look at our society, and I believe that physical health is something that's an enormous problem in our society. And I don't think, and it's not just about heart disease. I think it's about mental health, and it's about all the different downstream things of that. Has Heritage ever talking about physical health? Has RFK sparked anything? Or?
Oh, yes. I'm glad you asked that question. It's a big passion of mine, being a dad of four and also having been in the classroom at every level of education and just seeing the physical deterioration and unfortunately mental, emotional deterioration of young Americans. And so right about the time that RFK gave that great speech endorsing President Trump last year, we were embarking on what we call Restoring American Wellness. It's an effort at Heritage that's aligned with MAHA. It's led by my great friend, Dr. Jay Richards, who's actually written books on improving physical and mental health in addition to all the great policy work he does. So of all of the D.C.-based public policy organizations, whether on the left or the right, I would like to say, Jim, that Heritage is leading the way on that.
That's excellent.
That's great. Before we let you go, I want to ask your opinion and your assessment of President Trump and bombing the nuclear sites in Iran, and have they been obliterated? Because there's a big scuttlebutt this morning, CNN, MSNBC, CBS saying, no, they just scratched the surface.
Well, look, I was never an easy grader when I was in the classroom, Amy. And so when I say he gets a 100 A+ for this, I really mean it. And for two reasons. And I'll answer your question about whether they've been degraded. But for two reasons. Number one, he communicated well about the purpose of it. And number two, the purpose of it was temporary. It was to eliminate the nuclear capabilities of Iran. It wasn't to initiate regime change or nation building, which Heritage would be 100% opposed to. And to the question of the battle damage assessment, which our folks at Heritage are assessing right now, it's been degraded significantly. Has it been degraded entirely? We don't yet know, to be honest, but clearly it has been set back significantly, and that's a huge win President Trump deserves credit for.
All right. Dr. Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation and author of Dawn's Early Light, Taking Back Washington to Save America. Are you done reading the book?
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, I read it and listened to it just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And Kevin narrates it himself, too, which, by the way, you do a very good job narrating it. Another talent of yours, Kevin. Well done.
Oh, not everyone wants to listen to that many hours of me.
Well, I didn't. I can only do it in small bits.
He listened and he read your book.
Too.
This is Jim Murio gets an A+++, right?
Yeah. I passed the test.
Star student.
Thank you.
Yes, brown nose. All right, thank you so much. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Third day. The original members reunited for the 30th anniversary tour, playing all the hits. With special guest Zach Williams. Tickets available Friday at AwakeningFoundation.com. Third day, the 30th anniversary tour.
You just call my name.
An Awakening Foundation event.
Esco Graphics Incorporated in Wooddale, Illinois seeks a client delivery manager remote to serve as the go-to senior consultant for clients, orchestrating project success by setting clear expectations aligned with unique business objectives. Qualified candidates must have a bachelor's degree in information technology, engineering, management science, or related field, and 5 years of leadership experience in business processes or asset management technology solution architecture, or a master's and 3 years of experience. Position requires 30% domestic and international travel. Salary $142,830 per year. Salary range is $89,430 to $156,530 per year. Submit resume to fabio.pandolfi@hawk.com and reference job title. That's fabio.pandolfi@hach.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, today is the day Officer Crystal Rivera's funeral. We'll get the latest on that with Superintendent Gary McCarthy and ask the question, are Chicago police officers being properly trained? We'll start there with Mr. McCarthy, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here is John Cruz.
Good morning, 74 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. We got a break from the extreme heat with overnight showers and storms. Traffic alert, northbound lanes of the Tri-State Tollway still closed from a fatal overnight crash between Dempster and Willow. We'll get full details coming up in traffic. Most Americans still back childhood vaccine mandates, even as a CDC panel prepares for a heated debate this week. Only about 1 in 5 adults oppose vaccine requirements. Most say it should be up to parents. An 8-year-old girl recovering after being shot in the thigh on the south side. CPD says it happened just before 10 last night. The girl riding in a vehicle with family members who got into an argument with people inside a white SUV. A man in that SUV firing 2 shots. The girl hit in the left thigh. No suspects are in custody. And you can now legally drive a golf cart on the streets in at least one suburb. A new ordinance in the village of East Dundee allowing golf carts on designated village roads. The golf carts, though, have to meet strict requirements, including lights, seatbelts, and a slow-moving vehicle emblem. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Charlie Kirk sees an ironic connection.
You cannot be a leftist while also being in lockstep with what is best for Western civilization, including what is Israel. And the number one funder of these groups are American Jews. It's by far. They fund the colleges. They'll name the names of the schools. They are funding their own demise.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Virago is fending off viruses and making America healthy again.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. I'm one of the co-founders of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail. Here are some of the testimonials of Virago users.
Hello,
My name is Jim Thompson. I started taking Virago about a year and a half ago. I was diagnosed with a heart condition, and in fact, I was at the Cleveland Clinic applying for one of their trials. The bad news is that I was not accepted for the trial. The good news is that my heart was healthier than they wanted, and I believe that's a result of taking Virago. I can also attest that I have not had the flu or COVID since I started taking Virago. I can definitely attest to my satisfaction with staying healthy by taking Virago every day.
Boost your immune system with Virago. Order your bottle today. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com.
And use promo code IMMUNE to get 30% off.
That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
This is Ed Morrisy of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Donald Trump heralded a ceasefire between Israel and Iran on Monday evening and then spent the next several hours keeping it in place. Trump exploded in frustration Tuesday over the retaliatory exchanges that continued past the deadline, declaring that neither country knows what they're doing. By later in the morning, both countries appeared resolved to stop any more attacks. However, Israel remains rightly concerned that the regime in Tehran will not stop its 46-year campaign of genocide against Jews and annihilation of the Jewish state. Already, the Iranians are declaring their intent to reconstitute their nuclear weapons program. The only real path to peace is through regime change. Neither the U.S. nor the Israelis can force a regime out of power, but we can support the Iranian people and encourage them to lift themselves from the tyranny that has subjugated them since 1979. All of our policies toward Iran should focus on the freedom and liberty for a great people and the end of a regime that only wants to watch the world burn. I'm Ed Morrisy.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
A word from Progressive Insurance. Life can be hard, so Progressive makes bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Some very heavy delays on the outbound Kennedy this morning, starting from the Circle Interchange out to Montrose. That's a 45-minute drive already, with 30 of those minutes coming just between Division Street and Costner. Tack on an extra 20 minutes from Montrose out to O'Hare if you're continuing out to the airport this morning. Inbound, it's about a 40-minute drive from O'Hare into the Circle Interchange, with about 20 of those minutes moving from Montrose into the Loop. On the Eisenhower, that crash is gone now outbound after the Circle Interchange. It'll be about a 45-minute drive in from the Jane Addams Expressway into the post office, about 30 of those in from Wolf to the post office. On the outbound side, it doesn't look too bad, 25 or so from the post office to Wolf. Traffic is a service of Starbucks. The Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is back. Notes of raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry shaken with ice and poured over raspberry-flavored pearls. Make it yours. Try with lemonade or coconut milk. Available for a limited time. Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Variable cloudiness for today, a thunderstorm which could bring us some damaging wind. Our high today 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area tomorrow, and the high 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Scott Tucker Solutions and his show Retirement Decoded. Sunday mornings at 8. Learn more at scotttuckersolutions.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good Wednesday morning. Amy Jacobson here. Jim Urio in for Dan Proft.
Yep.
Thanks for being with us on this big week for you. You turned 60 years old.
Yes, I did.
And it's also a big week because the big guy tomorrow.
What big guy tomorrow?
Governor Pritzker is going to announce that he's running for a third term.
Are we lucky?
We've never had a third term Democratic gubernatorial person. Jim Thompson was he served 3 terms as a Republican, but Yeah, the big announcement's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I thought he was going to run for president. I thought
Well-
I was going to give to that campaign. Get him out of here.
He can still run for president even when he runs for governor.
Okay.
But he has to choose a new running mate. That's the big
Why is that?
scuttlebutt. Because Juliana Stratton is running for the U.S. Senate seat.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Did you get the memo? Are you going to be his running mate?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And also yesterday, I know this is with heavy hearts, we talk about another Chicago police officer gone, Crystal Rivera. Her wake was yesterday. Thousands came, and I always, just stop and say a prayer for her and her daughter, who's, I think she's 11 years old, and lost her mom, single mom. She died on June 5th when investigators say a fellow officer unintentionally, of course, shot her during a tactical operation in Chatham. Two people, though, are now facing charges in connection with the incident. But here is one of the officers who is wearing a Crystal Rivera T-shirt.
One of the parents created this shirt, and we always going to have this with us, which is a remembrance of Crystal Rivera. And every time we play, we're going to represent her, because I know her spirit is always going to be with us. Not only that, but Bella is a reflection of Crystal. And she, like I said, is going to be part of the team forever.
With more on this, let's welcome back to the program former Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy, Chief of Police now in Willow Springs. And he joins us now on our turnkey.pro answer line. Good morning, Mr. McCarthy. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay.
A little depressed listening to everything.
I know. Well, can you...
Between the politics and the funeral.
Oh, I know. We'll talk about the New York mayoral race, because I was just... Because you're from Jersey. Actually, but today is...
No.
It's from Boston.
No, he's from New York.
Oh, my God. I'm going to hang up on you guys.
Oh, my God. We just started talking to you. You're going to hang up on us already?
The Bronx, New York.
Okay, I've heard of it.
We don't get along with Boston at all. I hate beans. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm not a Boston fan either, but that's another talk topic. But Crystal Rivera, I know that two people have been arrested or facing charges in connection with the incident. But do you know of any inside information on what happened that fateful night?
Well, yeah, I only know, I can't call it inside information.
Okay.
But all the reports that I'm hearing are they went to do a stop, and the individual who they tried to stop ran into the building, was alerting people that the cops were chasing him. He went into an apartment, and in the apartment was the first guy who got arrested, who leveled a rifle at the officers. And in that confusion, shot was fired by Crystal's partner, who unfortunately struck her, and she passed away from that. But here's the thing that people have to know.
Yes.
And, you just mentioned Governor Pritzker running for another term. I have a talk show, and we're doing a 3-part series on the Safety Act, which came to be back in 2021, I believe it was, during my time out from policing. And the bottom line is, there used to be, and there still is, but it's been curbed, something called felony murder. And just to make it simple, if you're in a stolen car and you run over, somebody with a baby carriage, you get charged with murder based upon you're already committing a felony because you're in the stolen car. That has been curbed dramatically. And what is so disappointing is that, the news is reporting, and they're correct, that there's 2 guys who are in custody based upon the incident, but they're not charged with murder. Leveling the rifle. You can draw a direct line between leveling the rifle at the officers. So, my question is, is Governor Pritzker going to explain to Crystal Rivera's daughter in 2 years why mommy isn't around, but the guy who started the whole thing, who should have been charged with murder, is back out on the street?
The whole thing, who shot the friendly fire thing is completely irrelevant. I mean, it makes no sense to me that we're talking about that. It's obvious the person who leveled a shotgun is the one who's responsible for this. If you want to take the discussion into where they trained properly, that's an entirely different discussion. But this, what you're saying is, it's amazing.
But it's everywhere.
That they're not charged with murder.
Here we go. Another story from CWB. He's in custody after sexually assaulting a 57-year-old woman aboard a Blue Line train. She's has special needs, raped her on the train, then took her to the Metro train yard and raped her 3 more times. And that guy should have never have been out on the street to begin with. But we tell this story time and time, day after day after day, with preventable crimes if the Safety Act just went away. And I don't know. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me that the Safety Act hasn't been dismantled, or there have been some reforms. But and Pritzker doesn't. I mean, does he not see this? Is he that stupid?
The bottom line is that the way that the politics works, that Safety Act was signed off on, I think, at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was a 700-page document that was delivered to the elected officials at 10 o'clock at night. If I got that story wrong, then somebody needs to tell me. But that's the story that I hear. Nobody read it.
No one read it.
And it was cobbled together by, I like to think, but I guess I'm wrong, that I'm in the center. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. I try to be practical. But I don't understand, the guy who just won the Democratic mayoral nod in New York City is an avowed socialist.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't there a socialist party? Why are they Democrats? I don't understand this.
That's a great point.
Well,
because you know what? Mm-hmm. Everybody in my neighborhood growing up, cops, firemen, electricians, plumbers, you name it, right? Democrats. Kennedy Democrats. That's what I've been called. But this left thing is just beyond me. AOC, right? She actually is from the Bronx, which is very troubling to me. I don't understand. Get your own party. See if you can get elected. Get out of the Democratic Party. Let's get back to the center here.
Hold on, though, because Kevin Roberts was just on, and in his theory, it's almost like stay with the Democratic Party because you guys are rotting yourself from within.
I don't know if the Democrats are ever going to win a national election again.
This is what I wonder.
Well, that's what I thought, but then Zafran won last night.
I know, but that's New York. I mean, I got nothing.
All right, so in the Wall Street Journal, they opined about Brandon Johnson, our mayor. Chicago's Brandon Johnson isn't America's worst mayor for nothing. He works hard at it.
Oh, good.
They wrote. Consider his veto last Friday of a teen curfew ordinance that would have let Chicago police disperse late-night gatherings or teen takeovers that have gotten out of hand. Here's the mayor.
I will veto this ordinance because it is counterproductive to the progress that we have made in reducing crime and violence in our city. It would create tensions between residents and law enforcement at a time when we have worked so hard to rebuild that trust. Offering up police power, extended police power without any check or balance has not boded well for black people and brown people in this country.
So it's racist now?
Well, he can't speak without saying black and brown people. I'm serious. Is that racist? I don't know. Only white people are racist.
Well, if you were police superintendent, I mean, it passed 27-22. He vetoed it, which would, to overturn the veto, you need 34 votes. That's not going to happen. They barely got the 27 that they had. But how would this help with those teen takeovers?
Well, they would be able to probably make arrests, if I understand this, just for being there. But the bottom line with this thing is they're not teen takeovers. That sounds cute. That's really cute. Hey, you know what? I'm going to send my son. Teen takeover sounds like a good party, but they're mob actions, and they're destructive, and there's been shootings at them.
Right.
So I don't know.
But why can't they just arrest them? I mean, they're stopping traffic. There's a number of charges that they could file against these teens who who create mob action.
And they do make some arrests like that, but in the case of the curfew, they could probably, I don't know the details of it honestly, so I shouldn't be speaking, but they should be able to just lock up these kids for being out there.
Kevin,
it needs to be something that goes back to the parents.
But Gary, is this a fair assessment? During the mayoral election, he told us exactly who he was and his opinions toward crime. And if anything, he was much more crime-friendly than he was law enforcement friendly.
Well, he wanted to defund police.
He wanted to defund police. He wanted to eliminate cash bail. He wanted to eliminate foot pursuit. I mean, I've always said, well, he's a very crime-friendly mayor. So in that respect, I mean, he said he was going to basically favor crime, and now crime is being favored. He did what he said. It's not his fault. It's the voters' fault, correct?
I agree. But it's not really the voters' fault. It's the machine's fault.
Yeah, okay.
Because the only machine that I believe that's left in Chicago right now is Tony Preckwinkle.
Yep.
And that goes to SEIU and the teachers union. Mm-hmm. And I know people in those organizations who flat out were forced to go and work for Brandon Johnson. Wow. And they didn't vote for him. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
I mean, who do you think is going to be our next mayor of Chicago? Because if they put this guy back in office, then that's some serious Stockholm syndrome.
Well, you know what? There's one point to be made that he's right on, which is the fact they're doing reasonably well with crime. I don't know if they're going to get to the levels that we got to in 2013 and 2014, but they're doing pretty well. And you know what? Nobody's talking about what the impact of ICE might have on the crime rate in Chicago.
Yep.
If they're picking up murderers, shooters, robbers, and so on, and gang members like from Tren de Aragua, they're reducing crime for Chicago.
Are you for mass deportation, though, for anyone who came here illegally or just for violent criminals? It's a tough one, right? Yeah.
It is a tough one for me because I could tell you this. On my mom's side, we go back to Pilgrims and Native Americans.
Oh, okay? We're related.
You know, don't joke, Amy, because I found a woman down the block who's a 10th cousin of mine.
Oh, my gosh. Did you ask her for money?
No, I did not. She's a wonderful woman. Anyway, that's on my mom's side. And on my dad's side, my grandfather had to flee Ireland because he was IRA, and he would have been probably what we would call undocumented. Mm-hmm. However, they got legally married here in 1913. So I'm confused by it. But at the end of the day, we need to be a welcoming country, but you got to go through a process.
Yep.
You can't just show up. Hey, I'm here. I'm an American. No, you're not. You can't walk into Canada. As a matter of fact, I got stopped at Canada. When I was superintendent, I went to a conference up in Halifax. And coming back, you would have thought it was, what was that movie, Midnight Express? With the guy with the cocaine. And I was the only one walking into the customs area. Uh-huh. And these guys were looking at me like I was a criminal from like 100 yards away. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm the police superintendent in Chicago. And it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
It seems like that should carry some weight.
Yeah.
And also, too, some unsolicited advice for people. Excuse me. If you're divorced and you want to go to Canada, you have to have a notarized letter from the child's parent, whether it be the mom or dad, saying that you are allowing them to come into the country, and you have to have a passport. So they're very strict over there, but we don't have those same kind of rules. That's for sure.
Nor will I ever really need to worry about it because I don't plan on going to Canada anytime soon.
Oh, you don't?
No.
You mean our new 51st state?
Oh, wait, though. My daughter's presenting at a conference. Yeah, well, you go. Yeah.
What if it becomes the 51st state, like Amy said?
Yeah, now I'm all in. Yeah, we'll go fishing.
It's so funny, too, because the left gets so up in arms. Like, he's trolling you.
Yeah, of course he's
President
trolling
Trump is trolling
And there's
everybody.
nothing wrong with saying we covet we like your. It's a compliment to say we want you as the 51st state.
But the one thing that I found attractive about Canada is they do have stricter immigration rules than we do here. So, all right, one last question before we let. Oh, sorry.
I said lots of hockey, too.
Oh, yeah. One last question in regards to Crystal Rivera. Was this a training issue? I mean, do you think the cadets and the officers are properly trained?
You know what? Sometimes, and different people react to stress in different fashions. Mm-hmm. Some people, and I actually experienced this, when you get into those super stressful situations, training kicks in and you don't even realize that you're doing what you were trained to do. It's really remarkable. And then there's other people where it just goes out the window. And I actually saw there was a video when I was superintendent of 2 cops firing into a moving vehicle, and they're standing next to each other, basically. And as the car passes them, they both turn and are shooting at the car. The guy almost hit his partner.
Ugh.
And it was just, what are you thinking? First of all, if I changed the policy on shooting into moving vehicles, because even if you're Clint Eastwood and you hit the driver and you kill him, now you've got a 2,000-pound bullet running down the street. And you know that there's got to be a kid running out in the street to get a baseball.
Right.
So, but some people, training goes out the window. And in those stressful situations, and when they get super hyper stressed, some people don't even remember what occurred. I can tell you this. There's 2, as best I could put it together, 2 separate 20-minute periods from 9/11 that I don't recall at all. People have told me about things that we did, what was going on. They're just blanks. They're just blanks. And, I like to think that I'm good under stress. I've never fired my weapon except at the range, and I've been involved in a couple hundred gun arrests. So, that kind of says something.
Yep.
But by the same token, the mind does funny things.
Yep. All right. The former Superintendent Gary McCarthy, we're going to have to leave it there for today. Chief of Police in Willow Springs. By the way, how's your job going there?
Oh, it's great.
Any teen takeovers or anything spicy happening?
Nothing spicy. As a matter of fact, there's a reporter who wants to come in all the time and go through all the incidents that have occurred, and we have virtually none. So, yeah, let's not talk about it because, something that'll happen.
I know. We don't want to jinx anything. All right, Gary McCarthy, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure and informative. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Planning a wedding is a monumental task. After months and months of preparation, on your wedding day, you have a lot to think about. The flowers, the catering, the bridal party, the DJ, the seating chart. It can be overwhelming, and no one wants all of that stress to take away from the joy of the moment. That's why you need a wedding photographer you can trust to capture those important moments so that no matter what happens on your wedding day, you'll have those memories to enjoy for years to come. For over 30 years, brides and their families have trusted Tom Kaloran Photography with their wedding days. This locally owned family business will make sure you have lasting memories to share for years to come. Tom Kaloran Photography is the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit TomKaloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN Photography.com. Or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Kaloran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Have you written a book and want to get it published? Christian Faith Publishing helps thousands of authors just like you publish their books with a company dedicated to strong Christian values. And to help you get started, we want to send you our free writer's guide, packed with tips, tricks, and templates for authors. Christian Faith Publishing reviews every book submitted to us. And if your book is approved, we'll edit, design, print, promote, and distribute your book online and in stores everywhere. Imagine seeing your book in specialty Christian bookstores, Amazon, iTunes, Barnes & Noble, and many others. authors. It all starts with a completed manuscript and one call to Christian Faith Publishing at 888-521-4447. If you have a novel, children's book, poetry, biography, or any inspirational work you've written, we can help you get it published today. Shouldn't you work with a publisher who shares your Christian values of integrity and honesty? You can get your book published. Get your free writer's guide today. Call 888-521-4447. That's 888-521-4447. 888-521-4447.
AM 560, The Answer.
So, Jimmy, you were telling me about your rescue lab that you have, and you're trying to train this creature. What's the name, by the way?
Charlie, which I am opposed to that name. I wanted to name it either Rizzo or Brandy, and my wife vetoed both those names.
Rizzo after the baseball player?
Bingo, yeah.
Oh my God.
We should celebrate our Italian-American baseball players. But anyway, so this dog...
That's right, you guys don't get enough attention.
We want more. But this dog is it's so different from me because, I've trained a lot of dogs. This is the sixth dog I've owned, but I've never had one who is so skittish and scared, living out on the street for like the last year. So everything, it's like, speaking to this dog is like speaking to the mental patient all the time. It's got to be in soft tones or else the dog gets extremely, extremely nervous.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So today, yesterday was the first time I put her through 10 minutes of just basic training. It went okay. Because she's getting some mischievous. She's starting to feel good. She's been with us 2 weeks, and she had her heartworm stuff, so now she's starting to feel better. So now we're finding out what kind of dog she is, and she's a kid. She's mischievous. You know what I mean? So dogs need training.
Well, do you put her in a kennel at night?
We do, yeah. She doesn't seem to mind that, by the way.
Does she cry?
No, she doesn't cry at all. The other dog, the old cranky dog, doesn't want to hear much from her and lets her know about that. So, yes. So there's very much of a hierarchy, and she's always like, okay, whatever you want, Crab.
So you train with treats, right?
I don't like to do too much of that. I do at the beginning a little bit just to associate them with something good happening, but then I kind of move past that. And I won't even say that I've had some good success, but I don't know that I'm the greatest dog trainer in the world, but I've done it a lot of times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Can you bring her in tomorrow?
Oh, yeah. You'd love her. Yeah.
Really?
No,
or would she be loud during the show?
She'll bug me. She's annoying. She's got a lot of energy now. So, no.
Well, good. Good for you for saving that dog. Because, dog spelled backwards is God.
Oh, that is cute. Oh, by the way, and it's Chicagoland Lab Rescue. It's a very, very good organization. If you guys are interested, my wife combs the website all the time.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Charles Payne joins us from Fox Business. I can't wait to talk to him. Today it's going to be cloudy, rain. It's now 7 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Iran admits it's been hurt. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A foreign ministry spokesman said this morning the U.S. airstrikes on Iran nuclear facilities over the weekend left them badly damaged for sure. That's after reports of Pentagon initial assessment that got leaked. There was only limited damage. President Trump insists.
I believe it was total obliteration.
He compared the bombs that were dropped to the bombs the U.S. dropped on Japan to end World War II, saying that both cases were bombs basically that ended wars. He said Iran's nuclear program has been set back, he believes, by decades because he thinks that the Iranians are not going to try this whole thing again.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the NATO summit in the Netherlands.
The president also countered that leaked preliminary low-confidence assessment, saying that he believes Iran never got a chance to remove the uranium ahead of the strikes because the U.S. acted so fast.
Now, the Iran-Israel ceasefire remains in place, and the president also said,
I think great progress is being made on Gaza. I think because of this attack that we made, I think we're going to have some very good news.
Though Israel's war against Hamas still rages in Gaza, 7 Israeli soldiers killed in an explosion there. Palestinian officials also say Israeli attacks killed at least 44 people. As for the NATO summit,
getting Europe and Canada to spend more money, says Secretary General Mark Rutte, is number one on the agenda, and he believes it wouldn't be happening had President Trump not been re-elected.
Given the threat from the Russians, given the international security situation, there is no alternative. We've got to do this.
President Trump says Spain is a problem as it won't commit to the target of spending 5% of GDP on defense.
Fox's Jonathan Savage in The Hague. A 33-year-old Muslim socialist could be New York City's next mayor. Zoran Mandani vowing
to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
Declaring victory in the Democratic primary as former Governor Andrew Cuomo concedes defeat. Current Mayor Eric Adams, who's running as an independent, just told Fox Mandani is
snake oil salesman.
America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. 74 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz. We've still got some light rain here and there. More chances of storms today, high around 83. An 8-year-old girl recovering after being shot in the thigh on the south side. Chicago police saying it happened just before 10 last night on South State Street. The girl riding in a vehicle with family who got into an argument with people inside a white SUV. Now a man riding in that SUV firing 2 shots back at her vehicle. She was hit in the thigh and transported to Comer Children's Hospital. She was listed in fair condition. No suspects are in custody. Police investigating why a 2-month-old boy was found dead at a Southwest Side home on Tuesday. The infant discovered in an apartment in the Brighton Park neighborhood's 4100 block of South Maplewood. A witness at the scene told officers they found the boy unresponsive. He was pronounced dead shortly after. That investigation continues. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker announcing this week he's running for a 3rd term. A person close to the governor's plans confirming that. The announcement will take place on Thursday. Pritzker first elected to office back in 2018. There has been speculation in recent months that he might run for president in the future. 3 Mariano's grocery stores in Chicago set to close. Mariano's said in a statement, the closure is part of a larger decision to run more efficiently. Those stores in Buffalo Grove, Bloomingdale, and Glenview West. Mariano's owned by Kroger, which had tried to merge with the parent company of Albertsons, but that merger was blocked. And someone just paid big bucks for Ferris Bueller's vest he wore on the streets of Chicago during that infamous 1986 parade scene. $279,000 for his vest at an auction site that year again, 1986. News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the traffic coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
This week on Capitol Hill is the best way to get informed on everything going on with Congress. Hosted by Tony Perkins and the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
We're going to have another reconciliation bill, possibly 2 additional bills coming up in the near future. We're going to continue to codify the DOGE cuts and continue this process.
Stay informed and become a regular listener. This week on Capitol Hill. Sundays at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
Are you looking for a peaceful and enduring resting place for yourself or a loved one? Discover Fairview Memorial Park in North Lake, Illinois, a tranquil haven where your family's legacy can be honored for generations. We're excited to announce the upcoming completion of our beautiful new garden mausoleum opening this spring, offering both above-ground burial and cremation options. This serene space is surrounded by meticulously maintained landscaping and beautiful trees. With limited space available in our mausoleum, now's the time to plan ahead. Reserve your family's place today with prices starting around $7,000. And for a limited time, take advantage of a $500 discount when you pre-purchase a crypt. To learn more or secure your spot, visit fairview-memorialpark.com. That's fairview-memorialpark.com. Or stop by Fairview Memorial Park at 900 North Wolf Road in North Lake. Fairview Memorial Park. Peacefully beautiful.
An informed and educated citizenry is the only guarantee to preserve our constitutional republic. And each week, you'll hear from experts, not pundits, and find out what's really happening, from local issues to national politics. Listen to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. There's no topic of public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Jenny Maguire is the fresh, bold, unapologetic voice of common sense, constitutional values, and conservative principles. With her sharp wit, she'll tackle the issues that matter most: faith, family, and freedom. Join her and featured guests each week on the Unsafe Space radio show, heard Saturday evening at 7 right here on AM 560 The Answer. And follow Jenny on Facebook at The Unsafe Space with Jenny Maguire.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers, Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
Solid heavy delays on both sides of the Kennedy this morning. We'll start on the inbound side where it's a 30-minute drive this morning from Montrose into the Burns Circle interchange and a 50-minute drive in from O'Hare this morning into the Loop. It is well worse than that, though, on the outbound side. A 60-minute drive from the Loop to Montrose with 45 of those coming between North and Costner. Tack on an extra 25 minutes to get from Montrose to O'Hare this morning. And this is also starting to affect the inbound Edens, which is backing up just a little bit as you approach Montrose this morning as well. Inbound Eisenhower, not terrible, about a 35-minute drive from Wolf to the post office, with most of that delay coming between Manheim and Des Plaines. Outbound Eisenhower, you're looking at about normal traffic, 25 minutes or so from the post office to Wolf, and the inbound Stevenson looking at 40 minutes from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. This traffic update is quickly delivered by Quick Delivery Service. For reliable same-day delivery, Quick Delivery will customize a logistics plan to pick up your items and move them safely to your destination. Trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. From the Team Rockburg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, variable cloudiness, a thunderstorm which could bring some damaging wind. The high today at 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in spots for tomorrow. High tomorrow afternoon, 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas. Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Repeat after me. Zahran Mamdani.
And you're sure that's you?
No, that's just the Amy Jacobson pronunciation.
Mamdani.
Yes, he is your new. He won the Democratic primary for mayor.
Which means he's mayor.
No, because Eric Adams is running as an independent. Our brother in sound, Curtis Sliwa, who is a perennial candidate there, he is running as a Republican. And he has 46 cats in a one-bedroom apartment in New York.
And I think that's a problem. You don't seem to think it is. I think that speaks to someone's mental state.
But here's Zoran. Well, first of all, here's Cuomo conceding the race.
Tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mandani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them and moved them and got them to come out and vote. And he really ran a highly impactful campaign. I called him. I congratulated him. I applaud him sincerely for his effort. And let's give him a round of applause.
Why would you
and
celebrate that?
Thank him for his campaign.
Well, he was all smiles. This 33-year-old, newly minted Democrat. His wife is 27. He was born in Uganda and raised in South Africa until he came to New York.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day. Where hard work is repaid with a stable life. Where 8 hours on the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab is enough to pay the mortgage. It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to
Why are
send
you
your kid
putting
to
people
school.
through this again, Amy?
Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized.
Okay.
I wrote down some notes from
Where
Como.
buses are fast and free.
Wait, hold on. Buses are fast and free.
Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY. And where public safety keeps us truly safe.
Oh, yeah, right. Public safety.
And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
There you go. Can't say anything without a
There's the payoff.
smash
To
against
stop
Trump.
mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors.
I don't know if they're here illegally and committed
And
a
to
crime.
govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
Heck, have you had enough?
I've told you I had enough 10 minutes ago.
Freeze the rent.
Yeah. Well, let's reiterate
Fast
that.
and free bus, so free rent.
Yeah, they voted for
freeze the
more expensive stuff. It is not any sort of mystery how that happens. You restrict supply, you restrict competitiveness, prices go higher, not lower. That's what you voted for in New York right now. Sorry, that's true. By the way, I wrote down a joke and then I was like, no, too offensive.
Oh, no.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
312-642-5600. Is this joke offensive? Yes or no?
Because when Andrew Cuomo said he did this, he touched young people. And all I could think about is the Democrats should really start to steer away from the touching young people thing after every video evidence of Joe Biden doing the same. So I would just be cool with that.
He's a hair sniffer.
He's a hair sniffer.
But here's this guy. So Ron, from where's he? Oh, I know I said Uganda and South Africa.
Yeah.
Moved to New York when he was 7 years old. He changes his accent. He's very Obama-esque, depending on his audience.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life.
Worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mandani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak.
I mean, this guy's a con man. 312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. Our text line is now up and running. I mean, how could they be full? I mean, it was so bad that the Chicago Tribune editorial members sent a message to New Yorkers saying, don't do what we did.
Yeah.
Do not elect a socialist Marxist that wants to freeze rent, give you free transportation, give you free health care, free grocery stores. So government-run grocery stores. That's Brandon Johnson's. That was part of his game plan.
Yeah, and again, that always ends the same way. There's there's many things that economists disagree on. These are not one of them. This is
Really?
just the most leftist economists in the world. Unless they're pitching for some politician, they've sold their soul to the devil. If you asked any of them, they'll say no. Price controls make prices go higher. There's an evident mountain of evidence that's higher than Mount Everest. It's not debatable.
Well, he is a rapper, so I had Justin there pull his song, one of his songs that his mom produced. Mom.
Yeah,
and for a Disney film,
it
just seems...
For a Disney film, that's for real too? It's for a Disney? Was for a Disney film?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll find out, but here, just get a little taste of this.
I love the berry, I love the nice. Some me I hate,
like
but I love spice. So by ACB,
that bed is stolen from what's his name? Eminem. That's what, doesn't it sound like?
Oh yeah. But don't they all sound that way?
Infringement. No.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let him cook.
Now we're yummy. Yeah. Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice. Who's the number one spice? Who's the number one spice? Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice. Who's the number one spice?
Oya gala mere, oya gala nice. Okay, so go joke market to work good price.
I'ma do this all my life, got you now.
Bring the flavor to the fish. Bring the flavor to the rice.
That's right. With the lights, that's right. The spice to you is a means to me. Selling even if the price misery. Same story in the Salt Lake vis-a-vis.
Musaja duka, fuck ufirimbi. Walking all day in the sun like a movie. Boss looks at me and says, Toko amusubi. Siwa amusubi. Nina munji.
Serena said they need to cook for me. Naede chimaraza kupera oburunji. Yabi when the people party.
You got the deal. This, according to Justin, this rap from Zaran is from the Disney movie Queen of, what's it called?
What was the last word?
Kutambe? Just, what is it?
Kotwe, Queen of Kotwe?
Queen of
mispronouncing it.
Kotwe. Did you see that movie, Justin?
Absolutely not.
I don't think it did that well.
You think it failed in the box office?
I don't know. I just don't think. I think we would have heard something about it.
Well, New Yorkers, get what you deserve. I mean, this is, I just think it's catastrophic. I just did not think what the Democrats have been standing for. And then the violence that has ensued.
Yeah.
With, beating up police officers and that being okay, beating up ICE agents, members of Congress touching ICE agents.
Yeah, of course.
In front of detention centers.
This all
in New
changed
York.
in 2020. The notion of what a peaceful protest is. Everyone thinks that the opposite of peaceful is this level of violence. It's also creating chaos, which they do. Like, it's become accepted that they shut down streets. That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. People have to get to hospitals. People have to get to doctors.
Right.
It's dangerous to shut down streets. And we allow this, and it's inexplicable. We all know that that's not a peaceful protest, and they keep pretending that it is.
And speaking of protests, there's an LA City Council woman who wants the Trump administration, the federal government, to pay for the costs that were incurred in Los Angeles during the 3 or 4 days of rioting.
I am demanding full accountability and reimbursement for the local costs incurred, including injuries to local officers and damages caused by the chaos unleashed when the Trump administration recklessly deployed the military and ICE agents into our communities. They are the ones who created this unrest, and they are the ones that need to foot the bill.
Yeah, they want all the damages that were done. Did you see LA?
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing that's untagged.
Yeah, exactly.
They even tagged the Kobe Bryant's mural with him and his daughter who died in the helicopter crash.
Yeah, the protest industry is booming.
And then somebody bust all of them in.
Yeah, of course.
For all these protests.
Well organized and well funded. You know who you want to know who's actually probably ultimately paying for it? That
Not
mirror.
Soros, right?
No, that mirror in your bathroom. Look in there. That face. We are probably paying for it through tax money through these NGOs. I've seen statistics on where federal taxpayer money goes to, and then these same institutions, pushing for these protests. So we are to blame. We get the government you deserve. Again, we're doing the best we can.
But it's not like we can't pay our taxes.
Yeah, it's true.
It would be nice.
It would be nice, yeah.
Mike in Littleton, Colorado. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hi, Mike.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for taking my call. Just, we were talking earlier about, trust, and do you trust the media, and do you trust this, and do you trust that? Scariest thing of all to me is the people of New York, at least the Democrats, and a good portion of the general electorate when the election goes down, have no problem with the criminal. And this guy, they have no sense of history, they have no sense of civics, and honestly, they don't give a damn. They would drink poison if they thought it would kill their enemy. And, you had a guest on here just an hour ago or so who was talking about the hope. It's a 20-year plan, and we can recover from all this. I don't want to sound like a pessimist. On what do we place our hope? The children who can't get jobs because they've been so miseducated they can barely read and write, but they're all about the power of persona. When the baby boomers and the people who produce are finally gone, what's this country left in the hands of?
But you don't think there's been the slight move, an awareness that's happened about the nonsense, and people are standing up and speaking to the nonsense? You don't think that's happening?
I think that awareness was always there because you can't not see it.
Right.
I think maybe actionable, people are becoming a little bit more actionable because they're less comfortable with the result. But let's face it, these people, and I'm talking the rioters and the J.B. Pritzkers and these people of the world, they play a numbers game. They know if they can swing it so that there's more takers than there are makers, they don't care how many businesses burn because there's more votes in the street throwing the rocks than there are people in the storefronts who are trying to protect themselves. And I don't want to be a pessimist. Lord knows it's so obvious, right? Men can't become women. Women can't become men, just to use that as an example.
Well, the Democratic Party thinks that men can have babies.
I understand, but you're making my point.
Yes,
anybody that comes out and says, look, if you stood on the, at a lectern in the middle of a park in Chicago and screaming, men can have babies, everyone's going to look at you and say you're a lunatic because you are. And everybody sees that. Even the most fervent believers on that side believe that what they're talking about is garbage. However, it advantages them. And you guys were talking about NGOs here a second ago. The government has dispensed lottery tickets, essentially, metaphorically speaking, to the tune of, 36 trillion in debt? That's 36 million. That's how much they've given away to pay off their cronies, pensions, this, that, the other, grants, right? People would rather be bought off and surrender their sanity and their virtue than stand up for their virtue and not have a bowl of gruel. And that's a real problem.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Is it sunny in Littleton today?
Actually, I'm not in Littleton. I'm in Los Angeles. So.
Oh, okay. That's why you might be a little pessimistic, too.
Yes.
Get back to the sunshine of Colorado.
The sun's not up yet, so I can't see the smoke.
Okay. I know.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. He's always informative. But, you just think about the Democratic Party. They've just resorted to cussing and to violence. The past 6 months, the United Healthcare CEO murdered, Iowa Hawkeye, by the way. Not a privileged person, grew up on a farm. Hello. Worked the soybean fields when he was a kid, but okay. 2 Israeli embassy staffers were murdered. Tesla dealerships were firebombed. Tesla cars were scratched and keyed and everything else. Jewish demonstrators firebombed in Colorado. Think about that. Jewish Americans actually lit on fire. It's flesh burning, and nobody, where has that story gone?
And again, in there's politicians, particularly the prominent politicians on the left, they act like they have nothing to do with it, and we all know that they do.
Well, they don't come up and condone it.
Right, but they should be, if they're not...
condemn it,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they're not actively getting on a podium and condemning every last one of these things, then they are complicit. Because their rhetoric has been inflammatory for a long time. Just think of the Maxine Waters saying, we have to find these people at restaurants, we have to surround them, we have to make things difficult for them. And I know I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but she pretty much said that, right?
That's what she said on a number of different topics.
On a number of different topics. Do you know how those situations can be inflamed into actual real violence? Of course, it's
Governor
a short step.
Pritzker, who's going to announce that he's running again for re-election. And by the way, Thompson served 4 terms as governor, not 3.
Then went to jail, right?
No.
He didn't go to jail? Didn't all our governors go to jail?
No. Kern went to jail, Blagojevich. You got to Google that. You got to brush up on what
When I was at
governors are in
my guy,
prison.
Matt Murphy. But you remember Matt? He was my pal on the state senate, and he was running for governor. And I was at a fundraiser for him, and I just raised my hand and said, "Do you have a preference for what penitentiary you'll be held in after your term?" And without even missing a beat, he immediately went, "Well, there's one up in Wisconsin near where I have my summer home that I'd prefer to stay."
That's where all the guys go.
Yes.
But back to Pritzker, what I was trying to say is that he even said Republicans should know no joy. And that's great. Keep it going. Keep talking.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Is it time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools? You cannot allow your loved ones to be forcibly subjected to ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings. You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, Christian Liberty has operated a Christian school now located in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility in Arlington Heights and learn about our educational programs. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com. Experience the best in our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program, and get more information at ChristianLiberty.com.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
AM 560, The Answer.
We just want to bring you the latest audio from President Trump, who's at The Hague, at the NATO summit, because there's a scuttlebutt CNN saying that, the nuclear sites have not been obliterated. Here's President Trump.
Well, the intelligence was very inconclusive. The intelligence says we don't know. It could have been very severe. That's what the intelligence says. So I guess that's correct. But I think we can take the we don't know. It was very severe. It was obliteration. And you'd think that a media outlet would say, isn't that a great thing? I mean, more importantly for the pilots, for the military, you take their guts out. You take their absolute guts out. They had a tremendous attack. It was a complete obliteration.
Was he speaking out of both sides of his mouth there?
It seems so. Well, we don't know,
it was
but we
obliteration.
know.
We don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, we just thought we'd bring that to you because he just spoke.
Yes, and I think that that we should be looking at this critically. I want to believe everything that Pete Hegseth and the president are saying, and I do. The needle does point in that direction, but we never can be certain of these things, right? I mean,
right?
Yeah, we talk about the great victories for thousands of years, that maybe weren't great victories.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Bitcoin. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is John Cruz.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Cloudy and 73 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. Heavy rain overnight, another round of showers later today, high of 83. President Trump in Europe today for a NATO summit. While there, he praised Israel and Iran for sticking with a ceasefire in Israel. Life trying to get back to normal. In Iran, the supreme leader still not seen in public for 2 weeks amid growing rumors about his health. A political upset in the primary race for New York City Mayor. 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee, beating former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who conceded. Mamdani faces current Mayor Eric Adams later this year. And one person killed in a crash involving a wrong-way driver on the Tri-State Tollway earlier this morning. Illinois State Police still have the northbound lanes between Dempster Street and Willow Road closed. They say a vehicle was going south in the northbound lanes when it struck a box truck. The wrong-way driver was killed. The truck driver sent to a hospital with injuries. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. A check of the traffic coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder says we had no choice.
You can dislike President Trump all you want, but were there or were there not, according to Hegseth, 20 million illegal aliens intentionally allowed in this country in the last 4 years. Counting the gotaways and the unknown gotaways, nobody really knows. What in the world are we supposed to do? Nothing?
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
They took everything. Our equipment, our supplies. It's all gone.
It's devastating. Every order is going to be delayed for months, and our customers are going to find someone else.
I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. We're already getting calls from clients checking on their orders.
Who knows how long it will take to get back on our feet? What were we thinking not upgrading our security?
Don't let a break-in devastate your business. Protect yourself with Goldilocks. They'll create a customized security solution for you. From commercial doors with keyless entry to 24/7 alarm monitoring, they have you covered. Learn more at GoldilocksInc.com and have a security technician conduct an on-site assessment of your business. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call Goldilocks now. 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicagoland's premier locksmith doors and security systems company since 1981.
We've all been there. It's the opening night of the school play, or it's the piano or dance recital, or maybe it's the Christmas pageant at your church. And everyone's fumbling with their phones, leaning and straining to get the perfect snapshot of that special moment. And too often, the images come out blurry, crooked, or overexposed. For the big events in the life of your church or school, trust Tom Killoran Photography. This locally owned family business can provide the solutions you need for your important event photography. They've worked with dance studios, orchestras, and sports teams to capture those memorable moments that you want to last a lifetime. And they can do the same for you and your organization. Tom Killoran Photography is also the official photographer for AM 560 The Answer. To learn more and to see their portfolio, just visit KilloranPhotography.com. That's KILLORAN photography.com or call them at 708-361-0025. Tom Killoran Photography, capturing important life moments for over 30 years.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Both sides of the Kennedy are a sea of brake lights this morning. Outbound, it's going to take you over an hour to get from the Loop to Montrose, with more than 45 minutes of that coming between North and Costner this morning. On the outbound side, it's going to be an extra 20 minutes from Montrose to O'Hare. Inbound, you're looking at 35 minutes from Montrose to the Burns Circle interchange and about 20 minutes or so from O'Hare into the Montrose interchange. On the Eisenhower this morning, inbound from Wolf to the post office about 40 minutes. Outbound, looking at about 35 minutes in that stretch. Not too bad on the inbound Stevenson this morning, about 35 minutes or so from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Dan Ryan doesn't look terrible, only about a 25-minute drive from 95th Street to the Burns Circle interchange. Traffic is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com, making smiles great again. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Variable cloudiness for today, a thunderstorm which could bring us some damaging wind. Our high today 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area tomorrow, and the high 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
All right, our good buddy Charles Payne he did call in, but it was too late for the segment, but he is going to join us on Friday morning at 6:35 a.m. That'll be good. Are you friends with Charles?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know what I like about Charles? Well, I like a lot about him, but he sends his brother money. His brother's in jail, and he sends him money every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy he is. He's a very, very giving, kind human being. I really like Charles quite a bit.
And he said, I'm going to ask him about it too on Friday, but he said, I love my brother. Yeah. He made mistakes, but he's in there. He's only making so much money doing, odd jobs. You make 20 cents an hour. So he said, I'm just going to help him out. And
that's awesome.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. Our friend who has his name is Abe Froman Jr.
Froman, the sausage king of Chicago.
The sausage king of Chicago. Abe Froman.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Because you have an alias, so that's your alias, right?
It is.
How did you choose Abe Froman Jr.?
Well, it's like any other idea. It just comes to you, and it makes sense. So, Abe Froman,
your dad was in the sausage business, right?
Yeah, and I didn't want to take over the sausage business. So, since I was getting into Bitcoin, I decided that I'd be Abe Froman Jr., the Bitcoin king of Chicago.
Something funny to people, though. So I know the Twitter account, Abe Froman. I've interacted with him, but I didn't know who it was because it's an anonymous account until he walked in the studio.
So that's your X account too?
Yeah.
Abe Froman Jr.
Right.
Abe _ Froman
But we went to grade school together. He comes to my restaurant. So you're not anonymous with me anymore, but I'll keep your secret. So
Yeah, so you got into Bitcoin before I even knew what Bitcoin was because we had you here years ago in the studio.
Right after Rauner got inaugurated.
Oh my gosh, that was you. All right, so how much was Bitcoin back then?
Well, it was hovering in the 700 range.
And what is it at today? No, now there's different.
105,000, I would say.
No, it's up. The last 24 hours has been good to Bitcoin. 107,500 right now.
For one Bitcoin?
107.5.
Yeah.
So there's not an actual coin.
No, this is all just software that runs on nodes that are located all over the planet. So it's completely decentralized, which means that nobody can get to it in terms of attacking it. Everybody's got the exact same copy of the ledger. So whatever transactions happen, it gets copied in 70,000 places across the planet.
In 70,000?
Yes, 70,000 different nodes are recording the transactions and keeping the ledger. So, and the nodes aren't publicly known, like their locations. So they're sitting in people's basements and offices. So you said, but it's nothing. That was your implication a second ago, right? Well, of course it's nothing, but anything that trades just on an agreement that it has value. So the thing that's pertinent about it is that countries, institutions are broadening their footprint in the space, and once it becomes entrenched, like gold has very little intrinsic value. It's not used in production. It is for some, but I mean, that's probably this much of its value. Everything else is just what we agree on has value, and we are in the process of all agreeing that Bitcoin has value. Correct. Correct. And the future of Bitcoin has been apparent for a while, but it's just slow moving in terms of the first world financial groups and.
But do you consider it a vote of mistrust in stewardship of fiat currencies around the globe, particularly in our country?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, right? That's why I own it.
Yeah.
Those morons, what they're doing to our currency is criminal.
Yeah. And the more you realize that, the more you hate fiat currency.
Right.
It's addictive in a way.
I remember last time you were here, you and I were walking out, and there was a woman who wanted to sell the Bitcoin because she wanted to pay for her daughter's wedding, and you're just hell-bent. I'm going to talk her out of it. Did you talk her out of it?
No, it was actually another family member who wanted to sell to lease a new car.
Okay.
And I'm just like, please don't. And he did.
He did?
He did.
Okay.
And he regrets it.
Well, what would it have been at today? Do you know? Any idea?
Probably 3x when he sold it to lease a car.
Wow.
And I've never sold any. I've been buying it weekly for 8 years, and I don't. But the culture within Bitcoin, they're mistrusters of government, which I like, and they don't want to pay taxes. So I think the people who are reluctant to sell to take capital gains it's a way more powerful emotion in that asset than in any other asset. Fair?
Fair, very fair. In fact, that's actually part of the innovations that are happening. I should say not innovations, but new products where people are now realizing that Bitcoin isn't necessarily has to just be considered currency or money. It's collateral. So it's no different than your home equity. The home equity line of credit that you have is borrowing against the credit or the equity inside your house. So there's new products that are going to come out where you're going to be able to borrow against your Bitcoin, which is not a taxable event. You can then use that money and then pay back the loan like you would your home equity line of credit.
Do you notice on tax returns they ask you if you own any crypto? I've never once answered that question. It's none of their damn business.
Well,
it's not. I've never had a taxable event.
Okay.
So I mean, the IRS is there to collect my taxes that I owe.
Right.
I've never had any taxable event at all. Why the hell do they want to know if I own crypto?
Well, because they're wondering if you're dumb enough to admit it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to be put on the radar because once you're on the radar, you're never off the radar.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But, the taxable event that's what's going to be cool about this is that you're going to be able to put up your Bitcoin to buy your house, to put your down payment on it, and then you can choose.
What's the time frame on that, though?
Well, it's actually happening now, but the rates are ridiculous because really the loans that are being cut are for people that are posting their Bitcoin as collateral to get cash to go out and buy more Bitcoin.
Okay.
So it's really for degen gamblers right now. But eventually it's going to come up where you can go ahead and fully collateralize a home purchase, say $500,000 with Bitcoin, and then you'll get the $500,000 in cash, pay it off, and then you can decide whether or not this month I'm going to pay off the loan or this month I'll let them.
But don't you have to pay taxes on that $500,000?
No, you're just borrowing. You're getting a loan against your collateral. So you're not selling it, so it's not a taxable event. But if you can then pay back your mortgage every month in either dollars or you release some of your Bitcoin.
Yeah, but then you have to pay tax on that. Oh, yes.
Well, yeah, that becomes a taxable event. But that's the cool part about it is that it gives you the flexibility on whether or not you pay back your loan. Because every time you pay back your loan, you're then clawing back that Bitcoin. As that Bitcoin's going from 100,000 to 200,000, you are now incentivized to use as much cash as you can to pay off your loan so that you take back that escrow.
So we had Lynn Alden on our show, The Future's Edge, yesterday, and she wrote the book,
The Future's Edge podcast
and the
Jim Uriel.
and the Unfiltered Investor newsletter. But anyway, that's the little shameless plug.
No. Plug away.
Plug away. I plugged Brant's already. But Lynn, here's one thing I really liked, and I want to see what you are in the camp. Lynn said, if this technology wins out, whereas Michael Saylor says, when this technology wins out. These are
these are different words, obviously. And a Michael Saylor, I think, is a little bit radical in my mind. I go more toward Lynn. Where are you?
I'm way more in the Saylor camp.
So it's when it takes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not only just when, but how. So again, getting back to the whole collateralized debt, to be able to give you the sovereignty to be able to decide how you want to take on debt. Because if you think about it, if you brought in $500,000 of Bitcoin, collateralize that in a home mortgage, your interest rate should be below prime because there's no risk to the bank. They don't have to.
Well, there's the risk at the bottom falls out of Bitcoin.
Well, there's that, but then
Yeah.
but then there's triggers for you to go ahead and recapitalize your equity.
Yeah, okay.
Without taking that hit.
Makes sense.
So, but that's the nice thing about it is because the banks have essentially zero risk. Like if you foreclose on your house, you stop paying your mortgage, they got to get you legally kicked out of your house. They got to sell your house. They got to pay the commissions, the damage you put to the house. That's a big risk to a home lender. They're going to look at somebody walking in with Bitcoin as being, oh my gosh, here's a zero risk borrow.
Okay.
Got a text message. Bitcoin is valueless and has no future. It relies on big investors to make it happen, and the payoff is getting poor. It will collapse overnight when it does.
I would just ask that person, what would they say about gold? What would they say about the Honus Wagner baseball card? What would they say about Beanie Babies? Anything that's above whatever level makes sense from a fundamental analysis is just trading on, to call it the greater fool theory, meaning will someone pay more than you, I don't think is appropriate in here, but it's kind of a cousin of what I'm talking about. If we decide it has value, it has value.
True, but I mean, it also comes down to the fact that the engineering of Bitcoin itself. In the early days, everybody's like, "Oh, a tulip ball bubble," and all this kind of stuff, and it was so cringe to me because tulips you can counterfeit and you can replicate and you can be in your basement making more tulips.
Yep.
You can't do that with Bitcoin.
Right.
And that's once people understand that the technology cannot be corrupted through counterfeit or through replication or through supply growth. And it's not controlled by any government, and it can't be. So that was a big thing that Dan told me years ago. He's like, well, there's going to be people who are going to pass laws. I'm like, pass all the laws you want. Like, I'd like to make a law where it doesn't rain on the 4th of July. And people would probably elect me. But can I control the weather? No.
We have to be violent.
Yes.
Or threaten violence,
Right.
or start cursing.
Violence isn't the answer. Sometimes it's the question, and the answer is yes.
Can it get hacked? I recently heard. I'm sorry that
exchanges can.
So
that a company or that a country lost millions of dollars in Bitcoin.
Every bad story you've heard about Bitcoin being lost and or stolen and or hacked is a incorrect use of the term hacked. Every bad story you've heard has always been centered around human failure around security, human failure around scams, all the bad things you can always trace to a human being. So when you realize the sovereignty of the technology, then you start treating it as such. So you get away from third-party custodians and saying, oh, well, this guy down the street said he's going to give me 10% of my Bitcoin. I'm going to give him my Bitcoin. He's going to give it back to me. Yeah, good luck. And to your texter who just sent that text, that's what's, I would call just, copium. This is somebody who's either felt like they missed the train, missed the boat, and they want it to fail.
So they're jealous.
It has to fail for them to feel good.
Now, do you still, when corporations are hacked and their computer systems are compromised, do you still negotiate with Bitcoin? Are you still doing that?
Yes. I mean, within the industry, yeah, that still happens.
Okay. Oh, am I? This is.
Well, no. I mean, with the insurance, yeah, that's something. No, I mean, we can absolutely. I mean, in the insurance industry, the cyber insurance industry, I mean, they still have to do it. If you're a business and you're locked up with cybercrime, you've got a couple choices, and if your backups aren't good enough, you're going to have to start talking to the bad guys. And the bad guys are going to, they might be nice and they might be accommodating, and they might not.
So that's still happening every day. Someone's getting hacked. Some corporation.
Yeah, the ransomware cyber world has changed very drastically since the Russian-Ukraine war.
For the better or for the worse?
For the different.
Oh, different how?
Well, before the war, the Russians were the ones that wrote the code, and the Ukrainians were the ones that actually used the code to launch the attack. So it's no different than any other criminal organization where you got the people who want to stay at arm's length away. They write the code. They give the code to the gang members. Mm-hmm. They go out and they execute the attack. They collect the ransoms. They cut off some of it to the software guys. The software guys cut it into the chief of police, the mayor, Putin himself, all that kind of stuff. So that's why like law enforcement is incapable of really being effective in this space, is because there's no cyber extradition treaties with those countries.
So first, two things real quick. The first one is a statement. And when I got into it, when I accelerated my buying of it, when BlackRock and Fidelity and VanEck all of a sudden announced that they were increasing their footprints in the space. I mean, whether we all know it or not, most of us, we work for BlackRock. BlackRock is probably and the United States government are the two most powerful institutions on the planet. That being said, secondly, I still have all my Bitcoin on Coinbase. Is that foolish? Should I be bringing it into a cold wallet?
Yes. Foolish, yes, to a lesser degree. I would put everything into cold storage, one, because you should learn how to do it and you should get comfortable doing it.
Okay, that's the best argument I've heard.
Yes, once you learn about it and comfortable about it, then you're going to be like, oh, shoot, I should be doing this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, not only that, but you're talking about taxable events. Every year you leave it on Coinbase, they're kicking that information to the IRS.
Of course, right. And then the IRS knows that I have it.
Yeah, then you're on the radar.
Which again, by the way, I'm not trying to skirt taxes.
But
I'm trying to not give them a window into everything I'm doing.
Yeah, when Coinbase started off, they had a professional exchange. They called it GDAX. Now they call it Coinbase Pro. And they had 0% trading fees for a number of years just to be able to generate volume.
Okay.
But once they started charging fees, then they just started kicking the information out to the IRS. I was long gone off of Coinbase at that time.
Yeah.
But it's like that gives you the flexibility of doing what you want.
Sure.
Go to Puerto Rico, establish yourself down there where there isn't any income tax, or 5% if you're a U.S. citizen.
Or the Bahamas.
Or all of these other jurisdictions or all around the planet that are competing for people with Bitcoin wealth. El Salvador, Romania, Estonia.
Really? Text message, gold and baseball cards have intrinsic value.
No.
How much value does a number have without a ledger?
I don't agree. I think the Honus-Wagner baseball card, we agree. It's literally, okay, so you want to talk about the intrinsic value? It's like, what, half a cent of paper? Mm-hmm. So that's the intrinsic value, and it trades at $3 million. So yes, you're right. It has some level of intrinsic value. That's 1/2 a cent out of the $2.5 million price tag of it. So essentially, we're talking about the same things. And this is just an agreement that something is worth money. And that's the same thing with a Van Gogh, a Picasso, whatever. We just decide that it has value. Now, gold, we've decided for 10,000 years. And again, I don't know if it's 10,000 years, but he's on a roll. Let him go. But anyway, so we don't know what the actual, the intrinsic value of gold is nothing. It's just the agreement that it has value. Well, same stuff.
Absolutely. But here's another way to think about it. The Honus-Wagner card has a ton of value in the United States. Does it, if you walk the streets of India and try to sell the Honus-Wagner card, would it have any value?
Another great point.
I mean, Bitcoin, no matter where you go, no matter what language you speak, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're communist or capitalist, it doesn't matter because Bitcoin doesn't care.
Right. But diamonds and gold are more universally accepted.
Yeah, but diamonds you can make in a lab now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's a great point, right?
Everyone's getting those fake, the fake diamonds.
It's amazing that they're making that, and it's a good enough quality, but they're still charging near diamond rates. I would think that would be
about a third or a quarter.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, but I've got nephews, and they've been recently engaged, and they got the lab diamonds.
Nice.
So it looks like it's a 3 carat, but they paid half of what a 3 carat is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't wear that in downtown Chicago.
Oh.
They'll kill for it just a second.
All right, any more questions for our Abe Froman Jr.
No.
Oh, by the way, how much did that Ferris Bueller's vest go for?
$275, you said, right?
That's what it's. Yeah, that's what it is.
$275 which I actually think is very, very low amount. I would have expected a couple million. It's a great vest.
Well, do you think the person's going to wear it?
I'm going to take my Bitcoin and buy the vest from the guy.
Right.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we?
No. Let's go.
You go on your way.
Let's go to the commercial, the profit making break.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Welcome back to Ask Socialist.
How do you get pee out of an old mattress?
By trading in that old mattress for a new Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic.
But that'll cost a lot of money.
Not at Socialist Mattress. Through Monday, trade in your old mattress and get additional savings of $248 off a queen and $348 off a king. Plus, next day delivery and haul away of the old mattress for pee.
What was that?
Sorry, I meant for free.
Sure you did.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Socialist.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
So, what'd you call me over here to see, buddy?
Well, wait till you see the new set of wheels
Whoa, would you look at this garage floor? Wow, buddy, is this epoxy? So smooth and shiny. It looks like a showroom in here. Wow, looks easy to keep nice and clean, too.
Yeah, it is, but...
Man, I've been thinking about getting an epoxy coating. This is a sweet-looking garage floor.
You happen to notice my new Corvette?
Oh, huh. That's cool, too.
Level 10 Coatings, Chicagoland's premier concrete coatings company. We can improve the look of your garage, basement, office, or outdoor space with customized concrete coating solutions. As Chicagoland's only certified Cimarron installer, we're setting industry standards with the most durable flooring solutions at highly competitive prices. Level 10 Coatings uses polyurea and polyaspartic coating, which is stronger than epoxy. Turn your ugly garage floor into a showroom floor. Now, with a spring special, just mention Amy Jacobson to receive $500 off any new project. Visit level10coatings.com.
Big or small, we coat them all. Level 10 Coatings, your custom concrete coating solution.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Sponsored by AxeCap Ventures. America, listen up. Gold prices are breaking records. With inflation raging and central banks hoarding, every American should own gold. And like President Trump said, whoever holds the gold makes the rules. AxeCap Ventures owns one of Nevada's largest undeveloped gold deposits and trades for pennies on the dollar. This could be your way to ride the gold boom. AxeCap trades under GARLF on the OTC. Visit axecapventures.ca today.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
They are badly damaged, for sure. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Iran's foreign ministry admits today about their nuclear facilities after U.S. airstrikes over the weekend.
The High Commission of Iran just said it was totally demolished.
That's President Trump a short time ago at the NATO summit, disputing news reports leaking a preliminary Pentagon assessment that he disputes, saying the damage to Iran's nuclear program, feared to be building weapons, was limited.
Those pilots were so brave. I've never seen anything like it. They flew into the hornet's nest, and then they got hurt so badly by what the fake news wrote. And it was CNN, it was the New York Times, and they're both disgusting, really horrible groups of people.
Now, Israel has just said that the Iranian program has been set back many years. As the Iran and Israel ceasefire holds, Fox's Mike Tobin reports from Tel Aviv.
The war in Gaza continues, and Israel suffered a setback. 7 Israeli soldiers were killed in combat. They were in a Puma armored vehicle, which is pretty much just a converted British Challenger tank. A Palestinian was able to attach a bomb to that armored vehicle and detonate it.
Now, Israel also was blamed for 44 deaths in attacks against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Back to the NATO summit in the Netherlands. Allied leaders have agreed to build up their own defenses with a goal of spending up to 5% of their own country's GDP. NATO leader Mark Rutte calls it
historic, transformational decisions to make our people safer through a stronger, fairer, and more lethal NATO.
And President Trump and NATO allies reaffirmed Article 5 commitments to defend any country in the alliance that's attacked. This happened after midnight.
5, 4.
SpaceX launched 4 astronauts on a private mission to the International Space Station from 4 countries.
Hungary, India, and Poland, under the command of former NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson, who's already accumulated more days in space than any other American.
That's Fox's Jonathan Seri at the Kennedy Space Center. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning, 74 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the Goldilocks newsroom. We got a break from the extreme heat with overnight showers and storms. Will get up to 83 today with another chance for rain later. An 8-year-old girl recovering after being shot in the leg on the south side. CPD says it happened just before 10 last night along South State Street. The girl in a vehicle with family when the adults got into an argument with people inside a white SUV. A man in that SUV firing 2 shots. She was hit in the left thigh and transported to Comer Children's, where she was listed in fair condition. Police still looking for that shooter. CPD investigating why a 2-month-old boy was found dead at a Southwest Side home on Tuesday. The infant discovered in an apartment complex in the Brighton Park neighborhood along Maplewood Avenue. A witness at the scene told officers they found the boy unresponsive. He was pronounced dead a short time later. Governor J.B. Pritzker announcing this week he's running for a 3rd term as Illinois governor. A person familiar with the governor's plans confirmed that on Tuesday. The announcement will come on Thursday. Pritzker first elected to office back in 2018. There's been speculation that he might run for president in the future. The city of Hinsdale cracking down on kids riding e-bikes and e-scooters, citing public safety concerns. An ordinance now prohibiting children from riding e-scooters there. For electric bikes, there are no age requirements, but under state law, e-bikes need to have an output of no more than 750 watts. Those unlawfully riding the devices not only face a fine, but just one conviction can prevent a preteen's chance to get a driver's license. And someone dishing out big bucks for Ferris Bueller's vest he wore during that famous parade scene in Chicago. $279,000 for that vest from 1986. News is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, 708-889-5600. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes. Now time for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
General Mills shares are down more than 1%. Sales declined in its recent quarter. General Mills makes many brands, including Cheerios, Bisquick, Progresso, and Wheaties, though pet food sales rose, and now General Mills says it will be launching its Blue Buffalo brand as fresh pet food. Fed Chair Jerome Powell returns to Capitol Hill today to answer questions from the Senate Banking Committee. Powell said yesterday the economy is holding up. The Fed can wait before deciding whether to lower interest rates, but he also said current economic reports would have justified cutting if not for the uncertain impact of tariffs. FedEx shares down 5.5%. The company expects weaker demand for its shipping because tariffs have crushed demand for packages from China. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Charlie Kirk sees a big decision for the president.
Israel has done a lot of work in Iran. They have bombed a lot of targets, but there are some nuclear facilities hidden within a mountain. It is within a deep, deep bunker. President Donald Trump has to make a very important decision. Does the United States get involved kinetically against Iran?
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $257. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side. Your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
It's been messy all morning on both sides of the Kennedy this morning. You're looking at about a 40-minute drive right now from Montrose into the Burns Circle interchange, with the worst of that coming between Montrose and Addison. And it's about a 50 to 55-minute drive if you're coming from O'Hare into the Loop this morning. 70 to 75 minutes is the drive time on the outbound Kennedy from the Burns Circle interchange out to O'Hare. It's a 50-minute drive just to get from the Loop out to Montrose this morning. The Eisenhower inbound looking at about 50 to 55 minutes from Wolf to the post office, with the heaviest traffic coming between 17th and Sacramento. That'll cost you about 35 minutes. Outbound Eisenhower looking at about 35 minutes from the post office to Wolf. Inbound Stevenson, 35 minutes from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Inbound Dan Ryan, not too bad, only about 25 minutes from 95th Street. Traffic is a service of Payday. Hardworking people need a hardworking candy bar. Packed with peanuts and filled with golden caramel, Payday is definitely working hard for you. So grab one now to power you through the day. Payday Peanut Caramel Bar. Get to it. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, variable cloudiness, a thunderstorm which could bring some damaging wind. The high today at 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in spots for tomorrow. High tomorrow afternoon, 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Amy Jacobson here. Jim Urio from the Futures Podcast and economist, and what else? And you're proprietor, restaurateur.
Yeah, thank you.
Owner of Brandt's. How long have you had Brandt's?
It'll be 13 years come this winter.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing how quickly it goes?
Yeah. What made you decide to buy Brandt's?
Well, it was in foreclosure and bankruptcy, and it made no sense. And when I started looking into it, and it was because of all the wrong reasons: cocaine, racehorses.
Prostitution. Was it a brothel?
Well, it was. I mean, back in the day when it was Capone and Roger Toohey was the gangster out here. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened at Brandt's over the years. Gunfights. When the Capone gang took it over after they finally put Roger Toohey in prison for a crime he didn't commit back in 1932. I might get that date 1 year wrong. But then the Capone gang came in and took it all over. And Jim Schwantz, who's the mayor, Jim Schwantz, who's the mayor. Schwani. His grandfather.
I think I went to prom with him, but no.
his grandfather was in Brandt's when the new gangsters came in and basically announced a regime change. Now Capone had already left the Capone gang to go to prison, but then the Capone gang ran it until it came into legitimate hands in the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so who did you purchase it from?
We purchased it from the Brandt family.
Okay.
Yeah, and they had owned it. So when it went from being a gangster joint to being actually run, I think it was a process more than a moment in time. And eventually, the Italian mob started moving away from that sort of thing. Remember, it was during Prohibition that it was moved there from Inverness to sell booze during Prohibition. But they all knew Prohibition was on its way out. But the local cops used to protect it. The gangster was Roger Toohey, owned it from the Capone gang, because wherever Capone gang came, there was dead people and hookers and all the things. Toohey was mostly just beer. You know what I mean? But it ignited a 3-year war between Capone and Toohey, where hundreds of people died, including the mayor of Chicago. Two different mayors of Chicago have been assassinated. One was because Mayor Anton Cermak flipped his allegiance from Capone to Toohey. So they followed him to a FDR campaign event in Bayside Park in Miami, and the Capone gang whacked Anton Cermak to punish him for his. But Brandt's is centrally located all those.
Who was the other mayor
stories.
that was assassinated?
It was the one during the World's Fair. Remember in the book Devil in the White City?
Yeah.
And I can't remember what that guy's name was.
Wow. Well, that was quite an answer when I asked you
Daily
about
History Minute of mobsters.
Well, I bring up Brandt's because it was during the George Floyd riots in Chicago that I went out to Brandt's and I sat down and I just started crying.
It was. You made me emotional too. You were right.
Exhausted. Constant sirens because the riots went from Michigan Avenue downtown, State Street, to the south side, and then it came to the north side. And I lost my mind.
Yeah.
With all the COVID, we can't be outside, we can't be in crowds, and all of a sudden, no, everybody's shoulder to shoulder, breathing, screaming on each other. That's okay.
Yeah.
Nobody could have funerals, but George Floyd, I believe, had 3 funerals.
Yep.
They changed the rules. Everything changed that day.
And in California, they even said that no gatherings because of COVID-19, except if you're protesting. So what are we talking about here? Look, 2020 was when any sort of logical thinking just died, and the George Floyd thing was right at the top of it. This was a bad guy, no matter what your opinion is. His rap sheet was ridiculous, and we'll talk to Liz. Will know more about this than I, but just it's unbelievable what we did that year.
Yeah, let's welcome back to the program Liz Collins. She's a multi-Emmy award-winning reporter and anchor and producer of The Fall of Minneapolis. Good morning, Liz. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, you guys. Thanks for having me back on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and you can follow her on X at Liz Collin, Collin. I said Collins, but it's Collin. I'm sorry about that. 5 years since Floyd. 5 years. May 25th it was. And this is from your documentary. George Floyd resisting arrest for, I think, 18 minutes total.
Don't do me like that, man. In the car. Okay, can I talk to you, please? Yes, you get in this car. We can talk. I'm claustrophobic. I'm claustrophobic, you're not working with me. God, I'm claustrophobic, man. You ain't no whatever you in. In the car. Can you get me in the front? Please. No, you're not getting in the front. I'm claustrophobic, so I was in the car. Okay, man, okay. I'm not a bad guy, man. Get in the car. I'm not a bad guy. Man. What's my double? Please, officer. Please. Sit. Please. Take a seat. Please, man. Please. No. Take a seat. I can't choke. I can't breathe, officer.
Completely unhinged, completely high on
Hard
something.
To hear. Yeah.
And I mean, this just went on and on. So, Liz, how long was it from the time that they pulled him over in his vehicle to the time that he passed?
All in all, it's about a 13, 14-minute interaction that takes place. But yeah, you're right. We're only allowed to see that viral Facebook clip, which is a couple minutes long. Nobody really knew before what took place before George Floyd himself asks to be laid on the ground. They talk about just how courageous this crowd was to be recording this. Well, all 4 police officers had their body cameras on, and for some reason we weren't allowed to see their videos. Just one of so many things that was withheld from the public because it did not fit this narrative they were telling at the time, and still 5 years later, many people are clinging to. But I am a little relieved that it seems more people have. Woken up to this and their eyes are a bit more wide open now. There was just a lot more to all of this than we were told.
Well, talk about the day in question. He tried to purchase something with a $20 counterfeit bill?
Yeah, that's how this all begins. And this is when Alex King and Thomas Lane, they're on the job for just a few days as Minneapolis police officers after their field training is over, to be full-fledged police officers, and they arrive on scene. You're right, it's the Cup Foods manager who calls 911 to report this counterfeit $20 bill that George Floyd passes inside the store. And this is when they encounter George Floyd across the street. He's in a vehicle, kind of slumped over, looks almost as if he's sleeping. It's why Thomas Lane taps on the window to kind of get his attention. There's a couple other people in the car at the time, but you can tell something's kind of off with this guy, from the beginning. He's certainly not complying with police commands. And, they're asking him, what are you on? What did you take? And, he's not really answering. And you can see at one point him put something in his mouth that appears to be drugs. They recover drugs from the vehicle, which also something we were not aware of at the time. And that came out months later after they went back to search the car. But yeah, he's taken across the street. He is arrested by Alex King, who is a black police officer. Also something that, we couldn't know. Instead, this is, basically served up as this racial incident that takes place between a white police officer and a innocent black man. In fact, Derek Chauvin doesn't even arrive on scene for quite some time. He comes to the scene because he can tell on the radio that there is a struggle with this arrest with George Floyd. George Floyd will not go in the back of a squad car. There's a struggle that takes place for quite some time with that. And then it's Floyd himself who asks to be laid on the ground. But in the meantime, you have George Floyd talking about how he can't breathe. He says it many times, long before he's even on the ground. Thomas Lane calls for an ambulance 36 seconds after he's on the ground, recognizing that they're going to need an ambulance. This is more of a medical issue. Something is going on with this guy. And the ambulance does not come. Minutes pass, and Tu Tao calls for the ambulance again. Code 3 to, normally it takes about 90 seconds or so for an ambulance to get there. There's a fire station very close by. Turns out the ambulance went to the wrong address, but we don't know that either at the time, something that even the courtroom wasn't allowed to really know much about in Chauvin's trial. So they are doing what's called MRT. Thomas Lane, clearly on his body camera, says, let's just MRE, meaning MRT, the maximal restraint technique, something that's been a part of Minneapolis police training for decades. They all somehow know what to do, despite the mayor, just about 24 hours later, telling crowds in his press conference that what they did that day was not part of police training. One of many lies told in the wake of all of this. And the ambulance comes, and it's about an hour later that George Floyd is pronounced dead at the hospital. But even on the autopsy, which is completed within 12 hours of Floyd's death, cardiopulmonary arrest are the first words that appear on his autopsy, meaning George Floyd died of a heart attack.
Right. And then also in the ME's report, Dr. Baker performed the autopsy, correct? Did it mention that he had barbiturates in his system?
First, they have to await toxicology tests in any autopsy. So those come back within days, and it shows 3 times the lethal amount of fentanyl in George Floyd's
Did you say 3 times
system.
the lethal amount or legal amount? I'm sorry, I misheard the word.
The lethal amount. So 3 times.
Good. That's what I thought.
Well, he's a big dude.
And right. And he had been, again, I know you mentioned a little bit about his past, and I've never really said, even with the fall of Minneapolis and the book and whatnot, it's never really, the focus isn't George Floyd. It's really, the lies. But this is a guy who spent most of his adult life in and out of prison. for various things, and obviously struggled with addiction. Had only been out of prison for a few years, and that's why he was in Minneapolis. Actually, the suspect in a couple of rapes that nobody talks about in Minnesota as well. Which I discuss in greater detail in my book, They're Lying. But again, so much that we were not told about him, including how he almost had a carbon copy arrest that took place a year earlier in 2019.
Yeah,
where again, he says
you interviewed
he can't
that
breathe,
officer.
and yes, and he's saying the exact same things in that interaction, and he's taken to the hospital because he's overdosing on drugs in that arrest. But he's the subject of an undercover drug investigation. But instead, we're told that Minneapolis police, they've never even heard of George Floyd. They don't know who he is. And, something that the chief and the mayor said at the time.
So the question that I have is that for the people, presumably on the left, who are all up in arms about this, and it's kind of a thought exercise for them I want you to comment on, is like, what would you have the police officers do? Like, they were there to investigate a legitimate crime. Counterfeit is a big deal. Counterfeit's a big deal. This is a guy who they suspect of it. Are they just supposed to say, he doesn't want to get in the car. Let's take off. Let's go have lunch. We'll talk about it later. That's the most asinine sort of thought chain you can imagine. What would they have us do?
Yeah, it's a good question, and even something that Derek Chauvin himself has brought up. What with us in conversations from prison, should they have left George Floyd there, knowing something was going on with him, and let him drive off and kill someone in a car accident? Do you think the cops would have been in a little bit of trouble if that would have been the case? They obviously recognized, he was under arrest for this counterfeit bill, but when they came upon the scene, it escalated into something more, knowing that something was going on. And again, if you look at 2019, it's what George Floyd did as well on camera, stuff what appear to be drugs in his mouth, trying to hide that from police. And you also hear him mentioning how he doesn't want to go back there, meaning prison. He knows he's in trouble. And I think he also realizes, you can tell, that he's realizing what he took, and this is why he's kind of saying goodbye. And it's it's hard to watch. Nobody can look at the video and not think it's not difficult to watch. But again, we were not told the truth about what was actually taking place.
And he kept saying that he has COVID and that his mother just died, and his mother had died in 2018, 2 years earlier.
Right, and even his mother, there was more to that he called his girlfriend by that name. So
he calls his girlfriend his mother?
It was just basically everything this guy said seemed a bit rehearsed, but especially again, if you look at 2019 and 2020, we've heard from medical experts all around the world at this point, but basically, they describe him as a ticking time bomb. I mean, he also had enlarged heart, a paraganglioma, which is a tumor he had in his hip, which when people can get hyped up and really worked up can lead to secretions and cause a heart attack. And that very well could have been what actually killed him. But instead of testing that tumor, that was another thing that was not done in this case. You have Dr. Baker on record 12 hours later talking to the head prosecutor in Hennepin County, saying, basically kind of acknowledging, these results are not adding up to the public narrative. And he says, in his own words, this is the kind of case that ends careers. What if these findings don't match up to what the public has already decided? This is the kind of case that ends careers. That's all from public documentation related to the case.
Well, where is he now, Dr. Baker? Is he still the ME in Hennepin County?
He is, yep.
Wow. Well, is there any chance that this new information could come out in a possible new trial for Derek Chauvin?
Yeah, there's been some rumors with Trump in office now that perhaps a federal pardon would be granted. However, it's just a little bit more complicated because you have the same leaders in place in Minnesota. He has a state and a federal sentence running concurrently. So they've already said, well, gosh, if Trump would release this guy, we would happily bring him back here and make him serve every last second in Minnesota in a state prison, which is not really an ideal situation. He would be in solitary confinement, I'm sure, kept away from others, and he's going to be in his 60s at this point by the time he's released, with his 22-year sentence he was given at the time. He is working on a state appeal. Federal appeal is underway as well. But I always say I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a reporter, but it is difficult at this point to kind of unwind this due to the state and federal charges.
So back to the autopsy real quick. The autopsy was not allowed in the court proceedings. Is that correct?
No, the autopsy was certainly allowed. I think if people even go back to the trial, it is interesting to see sort of what was allowed, what was not. What was not allowed was the maximal restraint technique. They said that they couldn't prove basically that Chauvin signed his name in the last time that the MRT was taught by the Minneapolis Police Department. So they said that was not allowed in trial, which is completely crazy. And there's been some interesting developments just within the last year, actually. We were sued over at Alpha News and myself personally for the fall of Minneapolis.
What? By who?
By the Assistant Police Chief, Katie Blackwell, because we used her public testimony when she says under oath on the stand that she does not recognize the technique that Derek Chauvin is using. I'm going to be honest, I was sued in Hennepin County, so I was a little worried because it seems like in some cases the truth does not matter there. However, thankfully, the judge dismissed the suit. Not only that, but Katie Blackwell herself, she had to pay our attorney's fees, which was not pretty, but she had to agree that everything that the judge found in his ruling was truthful. And in his ruling, he states how her testimony is in question. We had 34 police officers sign declarations to say she lied on the stand. 14 said she committed perjury in Derek Chauvin's case when she said that this technique was not recognized. So some of this from our court case recently is going to be used in this appeal, the state appeal that Chauvin is currently filing.
Speaking of MRT training, here is Derek Chauvin. You got an exclusive interview with him. He called in, and then this is what he had to say.
Your attorney wanted to show a photo of MRT to the jury, but Judge Cahill denied it. Was this a key piece of evidence?
I think it certainly is important. Just the fact that it's a PowerPoint training presentation that the city of Minneapolis Police Department delivered, using that photograph that at least illustrates some of the training techniques that are performed.
Were you trained in MRT, the maximal restraint technique?
Yes.
Yes. These are other officers.
Yes, I was. Yes, we all were.
Yes, all the police officers were trained in the MRT.
Your police chief said on the stand that he didn't recognize that technique.
I heard him say that. It's tough to hear people lie, just straight lie. And again, goes right back to, for me, the good and the bad, like the right and the wrong. And for you to be under oath and just straight lie.
And if you watch The Fall of Minneapolis, which you can on YouTube, you will see the MRT training. That is exactly what Derek Chauvin did.
But isn't this enough to get a retrial? But okay, but you said it's still Minnesota, and you still have the idiots in charge, right?
Yeah, people will say that all the time. Like, this seems so clear cut. Let these guys, because Tu Tao is in prison as well. He's in prison. He was given an extra year on his sentence because the judge did not like how he was reciting Bible verses during his sentencing, and that's that same judge, Peter Cahill, who is now since retired. But yeah, it is just an uphill battle with with a lot of this, and you would need pardons granted or sentences commuted or something along those lines to make a difference.
All right, Liz Collin, we're going to take a break here, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the fall of the 3rd precinct and what Minneapolis is like now.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Remember mixtapes?
I was more of an 8-track guy myself.
You know, the new Marshfield 7000 Sulfat Penny Mustard reminds me of the world's greatest mixtape.
We have taken the latest and greatest components of every configurable sofa and mixed them all together into one.
It's kind of like a greatest hits album, except you can sit on it.
The Marshfield 7000 Sofa, made in Wisconsin with a solid wood frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at just $21.26 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
It's news, opinion, and insight at the speed of your life. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app, or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
Good morning. 75 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm John Cruz in the AlmostFreeTeeth.com newsroom. We'll see cooler temps and another chance for storms later today. The FBI preparing to reassign thousands of agents away from immigration enforcement to counter terrorism after the strikes in Iran. The move comes as federal officials announcing the arrest of 11 Iranian nationals in the U.S., some with criminal records or suspected terror ties. 33-year-old Zohran Mamdani is the Democratic nominee for New York City mayor, beating former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Mamdani will face current Mayor Eric Adams. A wrong-way driver killed in a crash on the Tri-State Tollway early this morning. State police recently reopened the northbound lanes between Dempster and Willow. They say a vehicle was going south in the northbound lanes when it struck a box truck. The wrong-way driver was killed. The truck driver sent to a hospital with injuries. And the funeral for fallen officer Crystal Rivera is today at noon. Rivera died in the line of duty on June 5th. Investigators say she was unintentionally shot by a fellow officer in the Chatham neighborhood. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of your roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available. Financing is flexible. And at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you, and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
This is an urgent warning. The recent U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities have pushed us to the brink of a full-blown geopolitical crisis. Retaliation from Iran or its allies is not just possible, it's expected. And that could trigger a chain reaction across the global economy. This is no longer just politics. This is a national security threat, and your retirement could be caught in the crossfire. Every American with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account must act now. Protect your wealth with physical gold and silver today. We are Advantage Gold, the #1 rated precious metals company in America. We've helped thousands secure their wealth, and we can help you too. Call 800-900-8000 right now and request your free gold investment guide. You'll learn how to own physical gold and silver inside your retirement account tax-free and penalty-free. Don't wait. This threat is real. Call 800-900-8000 or visit AdvantageGold.com before the markets spiral out of control. That's 800-900-8000. Past performance may vary. Consult your financial or tax advisor. Call 800-900-8000.
As you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, which is crucial for my busy schedule. Mike is offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets. Any size and any color, just $49.98. That's right, you can even get queens, kings, split kings, and cow kings. Any size and any color, just $49.98. Order now because when they're gone, they're gone. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive $100 in free digital gifts. Call 800-489-0201. Use promo code LIBERTY or go to mypillow.com. Make sure you use the promo code LIBERTY for the amazing offer of $49.98 on the Giza Dreams sheets, any size and any color. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Some unusually heavy traffic on the outbound Edens this morning. An earlier stalled vehicle around Dundee Road is adding to a 35-minute drive from Montrose to Lake Cook this morning. That's just adding to your aggravation on the outbound Kennedy right now, which is a 70-minute drive from the Burns Circle interchange to Montrose. 55 of that is going to stretch between Division and Costner, and it's a 90-minute drive this morning from the Loop to O'Hare. 60 minutes your drive time inbound on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange, and 50 of that starts at Montrose into the Loop. Inbound Eisenhower, 40 minutes from Wolf to the post office. Outbound, you're looking at 25 in the same stretch. Inbound Stevenson, 40 minutes from the Tri-State to Lakeshore Drive. Traffic is a service of Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk might not be on your shopping list, but it should be. Next time you're grabbing some milk off the shelf at your local Walmart, stop by the Straight Talk aisle and switch to real unlimited data. It's quick and convenient. It won't even take up room in your cart. From the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Brian White.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Variable cloudiness for today, a thunderstorm which could bring us some damaging wind. Our high today 85. Partly cloudy, warm and humid. Thunderstorm in spots tonight, low 73. Partly sunny, a thunderstorm in the area tomorrow, and the high 94. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
5 years since Floyd. Good morning. Welcome back. Amy Jacobson here. Jim Murio in for Dan Proft, who's out there hitting the little white ball in Scotland.
We're sure it's Scotland?
Yes, I think it is Scotland. Yes,
I think so too, yeah.
And we're talking with Liz Collins. She is the Emmy Award-winning reporter and anchor and producer of The Fall of Minneapolis. And if you want to see it, which I urge all of you, and I tell all my family members and friends, if you want to see this, go to thefallofminneapolis.com. Again, that's thefallofminneapolis.com. Liz, before we get to the fall of the 3rd precinct, police precinct, how they just gave that up, tell me about George Floyd's children. How many kids does he have? Where do they live? Because the family was awarded $27 million in a civil suit.
Yeah, $27 million actually was awarded to the family during jury selection in Derek Chauvin's trial. The person that was actually helping to negotiate that settlement was Keith Ellison's son, who is a city council member in Minneapolis, Jeremiah Ellison. But no one seemed to really raise conflict of interest issues with all of that. So, and again, Keith Ellison is the Attorney General of Minnesota, who was leading the prosecution in Chauvin's case. Anyway, so that's
you can't
a little
make
bit
this
of
stuff up.
It's unbelievable. It's so depressing to hear it all, too.
Yeah, I know. I always feel like I should be the bearer of better news, but unless the truth is told, I don't know how things actually do improve and get better. We know of one daughter for sure. There were some other people that came forward soon after to say they were children. I did not follow that closely. I'll be quite honest. I never really felt like this was something to really investigate. To me, what was
I just
what I
wonder
wanted
who
to
got the
focus on were the lies.
$27 million.
Yeah, me too.
And then Barbara Streisand, remember she gave her Disney stock to George Floyd's youngest daughter who lived in Houston? I mean,
Yes,
come on.
and that's the daughter. But from what we understood at the time, also he didn't have much to do with this daughter. Again, they lived in different states, and his roommates at the time were not even aware that he had children. So there were many questions about all of that. But yes, his family, his sister, we've seen her in town since as well, and. That's what we know as far as that settlement is concerned, the highest settlement ever. And that was something that Minneapolis was very proud of at the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they couldn't give him enough money.
It's just crazy.
Which was crazy.
But Liz, when you see the video, is there, because there was moments early on when the video came out, and I'd be like, wow, that cop looks like he's being a jerk. But now I know about the MRT and the training.
Just because his hand was in his pocket. I think that
is that
I don't
part
know.
of it? Like, what do you, when you see it, do you think that there's any sort of no favors sort of thing that Derek Chauvin did for himself?
Yeah, and much is made about the hand in his pocket. Also something that's not true. He's wearing gloves, black gloves, and he actually just has his hand resting kind of on his leg area. And it looks like it's in his pocket, but it's not. It's just because both materials are similar in color, so you can't see that distinction. After getting to know Derek and knowing his background, I sometimes get asked the question, is there any evidence at all, that he murdered George Floyd? And if you go by evidence and if you look at the facts, the answer is simply no. Again, he was not strangled to death. That's what we were told. There's no strangulation marks. He did not die of asphyxiation. This is all as clear as day if you look at, and then people will say the autopsy doesn't matter. Well, how does the autopsy not matter in a case like this? They also, if you look at the MRT, it says if you're going to hobble a suspect, and this is basically the piece of equipment, I guess, that would connect a suspect's legs to the back of their waist, that's a hobble. They do not even actually hobble George Floyd because they recognize something is going on. So they're sort of downgrading their force and going like, where the heck is the ambulance? And so if you hobble a suspect, you're supposed to roll that person to their side. Well, they don't actually hobble him. And in the policy, then what do you do? There's nothing that says, I mean, if this is a story about bad policy, is that on these cops that day? Derek is really someone, I mean, he to this day can tell you policies, they have hundreds of pages of training. And he had also deployed this MRT, and these other officers had as well, many, many times before. I mean, he has said dozens of times before, and no reporter has ever said, well, then, okay, none of these other MRT deployments have ended in death. What is different? Is there a difference? Why is that? Nobody's really looked at that. Instead, actually, the city of Minneapolis has given millions of dollars to other people that Chauvin went ahead and deployed the MRT on, if you can believe it.
Do you still communicate with him?
Yes, my writer and director of the Fall of Minneapolis, Dr. J.C. Shea, and I are both in touch with Derek and his attorney. But after the fall of Minneapolis, it was just 9 days after, Chauvin was stabbed 22 times in prison and nearly killed. And that person who did that, nearly killed him, he has yet to face any consequences, yet to go on trial. I think it's the 5th time now they've rescheduled the trial for him. So Derek has to be very careful with even just communication and whatnot.
All right, I want to take us to, so after this happened, there was some days, then the rioting started, and the 3rd Police Precinct, this is from the Fall of Minneapolis, and to watch this, go to the Fall of Minneapolis We're
going now as fast as we possibly can.
These are officers.
A few SWAT teams come in. I realize they are our escort out, and one of the SWAT team leaders looks at me and he says, "Why are we evacuating?" And he's coming from the outside in, and I can't see on the outside of the building, so I'm like, why? And I don't know. He doesn't know. I don't know. We just have to evacuate.
Evacuate now. Evacuate now. Time is 21:55. They're about to breach the back gate.
Everything was happening so fast and there was such chaos. You know, the heart's racing right now talking about this.
And we run. We run with our belts on and 50-some people and 3 SWAT teams, and we get to the fence. We can't get out.
We got to go. We're sitting ducks here.
There was only one way in and one way out, and the way out was locked.
1283, they've breached the northwest corner of the front. Northwest corner of the front has been breached. They're coming in the back. We need to move. Need to move now.
One of the squads rams through the fence to get it open.
I remember looking through the rearview mirror as we left. It looked like a zombie movie. Crazy. They all just rushed to the fence and started climbing the fence, and they caused the fences to collapse, and then they just all rushed the precinct.
You get the picture, but it's, I mean, and the people that are people, the monsters who are the zombies, the violent people, they're so happy. They're celebrating while they're lighting the precinct on fire. So your mayor, or the mayor, Tim Fry, or Jacob Fry, excuse me, he's the one who decided to give up the 3rd precinct, correct?
Yeah, this had been something that was in the works, we understand, for days. And there was another high-profile kind of critical incident a couple years earlier, and they had planned to give up the precinct at that time as well. Instead, people ended up camping outside of it for days on end. But this had been building in Minneapolis, again, as you have these so-called leaders just kind of fanning the flames rather than telling the truth about anything that takes place with these. And it's quite troubling. But yes, it had been in the works. The officers were told to gather their belongings earlier in the day, so they knew something was going on. So they were going ahead and, loading up their things and vehicles to sort of empty it out during the day. Now the police chief 5 years later says absolutely this isn't true, and it's revisionist history what has happened with the fall of Minneapolis. But it's pretty clear that this was part of the plan.
This is just crazy, and when you think about it, it's just so obvious to people who have a brain, and there's so many people who look at this and again.
Well, why wasn't the National Guard called in?
Because they didn't want it. They wanted the outcome that they got is the outcome that they wanted. So who would be
you can thank Governor Tim Walz for the National Guard. That was that
and
was
his
on
daughter,
him, and he withheld them for a reason.
Yeah, and didn't she let people know that the National on Twitter, back when it was called Twitter, she tweeted out that, hey, they're not, Dad hasn't released them or called them in yet. Yeah. So keep writing or something to that effect.
She was tweeting that, and then you had his wife, Tim Walz's wife, Gwen, talking about how they would leave the windows open on the governor's mansion to smell the burning tires, so they could really get more of a sense of the movement.
Now, what is Minneapolis like today? And I know in your The Fall of Minneapolis, the documentary, you mentioned how many fewer by hundreds police officers there are in Minneapolis. Has that stayed the same?
Yeah, actually, I would encourage people. We did a 3-part series just a couple of weeks ago and put those stories out on thefallofminneapolis.com. It is a look more now on what's happening with the officers and what life is like in Minneapolis now. It's not any better, I'll be honest. There's a reason we even called the documentary a couple of years ago, The Fall of Minneapolis. But even just a couple days ago, we had an 11-year-old shot and killed in the middle of a park in Minneapolis. But again, record crime, officers, they lost 40% of their officers in the wake of all of this. And they're really struggling to find people, of course, right, to be cops in Minneapolis. And not only in Minneapolis, but that's why I continue to kind of be on and talk about all of this, because this isn't even just a Minneapolis problem. It's spread all across the world with these lies.
So I have a quick question, though, and you might not have an answer to this at all, but it seemed awful fortuitous for the left that they could galvanize in a really, really important election year. Do you think, do you believe these protests were funded by, whether it be Act Blue from George Soros or any other sort of NGOs? Was it as it seems, or was it more orchestrated in order to just kind of put the country against each other prior to the election? Thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of evidence related to that, where the money came from. I mean, you had pallets of bricks being dropped off in Minneapolis basically that very next day. People were ready to go. I've spoken with people at the airport that they witnessed, planes filled with people from out of the area. I had protests at my home. Some people admitted that they were out of state. They had no idea how I was, but they were paid, stayed in a hotel for the weekend to come harass my family.
Are you? When did that happen?
I'm married to a police officer. That's kind of how I became involved in all of this. But this was, I had 4 different protests at my house, one at the news station where I was working at the time. And yes, even the Minneapolis Star Tribune has since reported that George Soros, some money went to Minneapolis for all of this. So it's pretty clear that was the case.
Before we let you go, I wanted to talk about the other 3 officers that were there that day. You got a phone interview too with Officer Alex King, I believe, and you flat out asked him, do you blame him? Do you blame Derek Chauvin for why you're in jail?
Do you blame Chauvin for any of this?
I don't. The way I see it is that he made the decisions he thought was right. As he did before, he's always been one that was by the book and legally abiding. I think he did exactly what he was trained to do. Unfortunate that the publicity got as riled up as it did by all the officials and politicians that were involved with the case, and it took away any chance he had to even say his piece.
What does this case say about the justice system in America?
I think, unfortunately, we've come to the point now where the justice system has been controlled by mob mentality. Social media, news outlets, peer pressure now control the outcomes of trials, investigations. The justice system no longer is really something you can trust, because if you're in any way on the negative side of the media, you're pretty much just going to have a trial by street, and no one ever wins in street trials with publicity that is already against you.
I mean, just fascinating stuff. So that officer, how many years is he behind bars? And what about Lane and then the 3rd officer?
Yeah, so Alex King has been released. He came home in January. I was there at the airport. I had never actually met him but before when his mom picked him up, but starting his life over now as a 31-year-old man thrown in prison 3 days, after becoming a cop, kind of his dream job growing up in Minneapolis. Absolutely heartbreaking. Thomas Lane has been out of prison for a bit now. And remember, these guys are lifelong felons. So it's not exactly like they can just pick up where they left off. But Tu Tao will be released this fall. And I speak to him in a more recent conversation there on the fallofminneapolis.com that you can find. And again, Chauvin will be in prison until, at this point, for another 16, 17 years.
But does your gut say he'll get out earlier?
My gut has told me a lot of things that has not happened.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful, which is again why I continue to speak out on all of this. This is this right and wrong part of society. It just seems that there's many people on the Republican side who have power to do something, and they've instead decided to stay quiet on all of this as well. So,
well, Liz Collin, I cannot thank you enough. She's also part of Alpha News, which you should follow her on X as well. And again, if you want to see The Fall of Minneapolis, go to thefallofminneapolis.com, and there's other parts that are follow-ups to the original documentary. Liz Collin, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you both. Appreciate the time.
Thanks. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Is it time to get your children and grandchildren out of the godless government schools? You cannot allow your loved ones to be forcibly subjected to ungodly psychological examinations and perverse sexual teachings. You would not send your child to a school that teaches 2 + 2 is 5. What is being taught today is far worse and damaging to minds and hearts. We can help through our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program. For over 55 years, Christian Liberty has operated a Christian school now located in Arlington Heights, and we have served hundreds of thousands of families across our nation and foreign countries through our homeschool program, Christian Liberty Homeschools. Visit ChristianLiberty.com to learn more or to schedule a tour of our excellent 12-acre facility in Arlington Heights and learn about our educational programs. Take action today. Visit ChristianLiberty.com. Experience the best in our on-campus Christian school and homeschool program, and get more information at ChristianLiberty.com.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can slow it down and get it going slower. Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagal, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, our technical producer, new father, Justin Kosick, just came in here and rib shamed you.
He's extortion is what it is, but I fell for it. I will bring ribs tomorrow. Brant's ribs tomorrow.
All right, so how many racks are we talking?
I think I'll bring in I'll bring a couple different sauces.
Okay.
I'll bring in 3 racks. We'll cut them up in we'll have it kind of appetizer fashion, but only if we talk about it extensively on air, because they are the best ribs in the Chicagoland area. Literally bar none. We win contests.
Really?
The best comp is whatchamacallit, because they're Chicago style, baked in an oven for 6 hours. So Twin Anchors is our comp in the city, but we win taste tests over them. Now, if you like the real smoked ribs, they're not that. They're fall
I
off,
don't like real smoked.
No, they're fall off the bone Chicago style.
You're making me hungry, Justin.
I'm starving
look at you.
just talking about it.
These are the best ribs.
Justin.
In the Chicago area, I will vouch for him. They are
I
the
have
best
never
ribs.
had the ribs.
Oh,
get
I
the
had your
ribs.
fish taco. I had a salad
they're
because I'm
life-changing.
boring.
Yeah,
this is life-changing?
This is life-changing. Yeah,
Okay, well,
okay.
Jim will be joining us tomorrow with stacks and racks of ribs.
Stacks and racks. And now I'm committed. We've said it on air, so it has to be.
That's true. Thanks so much for listening. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
They're a horrible group of people.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump says about the New York Times and CNN, upset over their reporting on a leaked Pentagon assessment of the U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities over the weekend doing just limited damage.
It's really demeaning to the pilots and the people that put that whole thing together, the generals. That was a perfect operation.
President Trump at the NATO summit, where Fox's Peter Doocy reports Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's also pushing back.
Based on everything we have seen, and I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons. Our massive bombs hit exactly the right spot at each target and worked perfectly. The impact of those bombs is buried under a mountain of rubble in Iran. So anyone who says the bombs were not devastating is just trying to undermine the president.
Now, Iran's foreign ministry admitted today their facilities are badly damaged for sure. While Israel says the attacks have set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons many, many years. Back to the president in the Netherlands. He's speaking at a news conference now.
I think the summit was fantastic. It was a big success.
Happy other countries in the NATO alliance agreed to spend more on their own defense, though Spain may not go along with the increase.
Spain is a problem, said President Trump before the summit. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has hailed the agreement as providing a quantum leap in capability, adding, "We need to step up to stay safe."
Fox's Jonathan Savage. He's at the summit in The Hague. The president just spent almost an hour meeting with Ukraine's leader on the ongoing war with Russia. A Muslim socialist may be New York City's next mayor. Zoran Mandani declared victory in the Democratic primary. Current Mayor Eric Adams, who's running for re-election as an independent, tells Fox.
Snake oil salesman. He would say and do anything to get elected.
Mandani says he wants to make buses and childcare free.
He even wants to create government-run grocery stores. Mandani also plans to raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour by 2030.
That's Fox's Nate Foy. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Generally cloudy today with thunderstorms pushing through, and some of those could bring strong winds with a high of 85. Spotty thunderstorms around tonight and into tomorrow. Otherwise, partly sunny, low 73 to a high of 94. I'm Jeff Nordine on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Charlie Kirk sees an ironic connection.
You cannot be a leftist while also being in lockstep with what is best for Western civilization, including what is Israel. And the number one funder of these groups are American Jews. It's by far. They fund the colleges. They'll name the names of the schools. They are funding their own demise.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
The children of our nation know little to nothing about 9/11, but the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Institute is righting this wrong by helping teachers educate kids in kindergarten through 12th grade. Their nonfiction first-person accounts are told through videos and the Discovering Heroes book series. The Institute offers full scripted curriculum units with background for teachers, a speakers bureau for classrooms, a mobile exhibit that's an interactive museum with 9/11 artifacts and FDNY guides. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at t2t.org.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/policy. That's ethos.com/policy.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old saying out there. Small hinges swing big doors. In other words, doing little things right can have a big result. Tom Fortino and the team of Alpha Wealth Group have been helping people retire since 2010 and have found that while many have an investment plan, very few have a tax plan. And that can be the element that makes a huge difference when it comes to money you'll have to spend in your retirement. What if you had a plan that protected you against future tax increases by the government? What if it kept your Social Security taxes from going up, all while keeping your Medicare premiums down? It is possible, and that's just the beginning. What kind of hinges are on your retirement door? You either have a tax plan or you don't. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711. Or download his complimentary Alpha Wealth reports by visiting alphawealthgroup.com.
When you want the best in construction and industrial equipment, look no further than Chicago's most trusted name for 76 years, O'Leary's. From Bobcat to Bosch, Milwaukee to Steel, O'Leary's carries all the top brands and a huge inventory. From skid loaders and excavators, power tools, generators to welders, O'Leary's has the equipment contractors count on, all under one roof. Located on 6 sprawling acres in the heart of Chicago, O'Leary's boasts a massive showroom and full-service shop, better equipped than any competitor in the city. All backed by an experienced team who are committed to meeting your needs, plus a modern delivery fleet driven by pros. With O'Leary's, you'll get the gear you need, on time, in perfect condition, and with service that actually knows your name. Visit O'Leary'sEquipment.com. Call 773-252-6600 or stop by just off 290, exit 24AB on Cicero Avenue. O'Leary's, where experience meets equipment.